8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Tune in.
This is your Friday Night Lights podcast, photo and entertainment in Middle Georgia sales and services. Coke, don't worry about Pepsi.
I had to go see a man about a meal.
Look at here, look at here.
A-Town down.
And you better not lose.
Tune in.
Not so fast, my friend.
You better say it with your chest.
Come on now, shout it.
And you better not lose.
Hey, you better watch your mouth now.
I am a Lego.
Better shut your mouth.
Yes, I am. I don't mean to interrupt.
Better say it with your chest.
Let's get it.
And you better not lose.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
What it do? What it do?
How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing.
Pretty
I'm
good.
doing. I'm. I'm not gonna say fair to Midland because in less than 48 hours, well, a little bit. Some people less than 48, but around 48 hours, we will have our first taste of football. I know it's practice, but still, the atmosphere is there.
I ain't never tasted no football, but somebody said it tastes good.
Listen, I don't know about how it tastes, but I know how it feels, and it feels good to me. So I'm excited about that. Welcome everyone to the Wednesday night edition of the Friday Night Lights podcast show. I am Jessica, and we have my brothers Yo and Thirsty B.S. Rollins Esquire. Hello to you all in podcast land. And last but not least, we have on tonight, we have been blessed with an appearance from Drew. We certainly thank you so much. We always enjoy when you come on and talk to us about his predictions. Some people were a little offended, but as with anything Drew does, he always backs it up. So, hi, Drew. He always has a good reason for doing what he does. And it's always, you might not agree with it, but it's always sound, logical, and reasonable. And you really can't be mad at it because it makes sense. So
That's the goal.
So thank you so much, Drew, for joining us today. I'm going to say hello really quick to those in podcast land that are joining into us. Of course, our number one fan, Obadiah, is here. How you doing? We got Mr. Hurst in the building. What's going on, Mr. Williams? Hey, Mr. Robert. And how you doing, our number one Waco fan? What's going on, Nikki? And how you doing, Mr. Bird? Aquinas is in the building, too. Oh.
What's going on, listeners?
What's up, peeps? So, the question is, do we want to start off with us, or you know what? I would like to get Drew's input on us, on what we did. That's what I want.
Let's do
it. With that being said, we're gonna start off with our 2A poll that we put out. Now, Drew, do keep this in mind as you're looking at our 2A and single AD1 poll. We pulled the private schools out.
Okay.
We're gonna have a separate poll just for private schools.
Well, that's good because you got to tell me what the private schools are. I just look at these schools and I don't know which ones are private and public. Can't really tell.
Oh, we can run down the list of private schools in 2A, i.e. Savannah Christian.
For bracket predictions, I might need to. Because I look at schools and I'm just like, all right, that's just a name. I don't think of them as private or public schools. So I'm not all right.
Yeah, because the way we look at it is, private schools are not going to be in the playoffs, so why are we going to put them in the polls?
Correct. Makes sense to me.
So, all right. So on the screen right now, we have our 2A public top 10, preseason top 10 poll that we posted and put out this past week. I think the first 4 teams up there, top 5, it's just, they could probably be rearranged with the exception of maybe the first 2. But for the most part, I think we all can agree that those are the top five teams in 2A right now, walking into the season.
Yeah, I think you had a point about the order. So I look at Stevens County, and they're going to be an interesting team to watch this year, much because of what they did last year. And you had that very interesting start to the year, and then that very interesting end to the year. But everything in between was good stuff. Every week they were putting out the best product on the field. It was probably a generational run for them. It was great. Now, does that carry over into this year is the big question. I like the Carver Columbus edition. I would have. I think a little bit lower. I don't know. They seem about fine. I'm looking at the level of competition they play or they have on this list. They're a very consistent team. I think year in and year out, no matter who they lose, no matter who they bring back, they're still going to be the same 7-8 win team that they expect based on defense. Callaway and Appling. I'm surprised Appling's a little low. I would have them over Burke County. I think Burke County is going to be a good team, but I don't know if they're going to break through just yet. They might be something to watch in the playoffs, but in regular season, I'm a little skeptical on them for now. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm just saying I wouldn't put my chips on them yet. So Appling, I think could be a little higher. Same with Callaway. Callaway returns a lot. I think they only graduated like 6 seniors. Maybe I could be wrong on that. Rockmart's an interesting pick, along with Cook. Cook is definitely one of those teams I could see having a bad record, but still a top 10 team. I mean, I'll say it right now. They could still end up being in my top 10 poll with an under 500 record. That's how hard their schedule is. So I still think they're a very good team, despite a lot of losses from last year. I still expect them to do good in the playoffs. They could be one of those odd teams like, Bainbridge that have 5 losses and still make it to the semifinals.
I agree with all of that.
Yeah. I can't see anything. I can't say I don't disagree with anything.
I'm kind of with you when you speak on the Burke. I think personally, not us as a panel with FNL. I would have probably went Carver Columbus 3, Appling 4, and Burke 5. But again, the same thing you said and what we decided and looked at as a panel. I think the Burke County team will be that team that's kind of surprising, especially like you're saying towards the playoffs. It'll be a team that can get on a run, and you can see them probably making a quarter semifinal appearance. With the type of talent in 2A this year, I don't think Burke is a final team, but I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see them in a quarters or even a semifinal.
I think quarters is fair. Second round or quarterfinals is fair for them. But again, it depends with the way the layout is. I mean, if Burke County is a really good team, say like a 9-win team, right? 9 or 10-win team. Maybe not 10, but 9-win team entering the playoffs. I'd actually circle, depending on who they play in the first round, I'd circle that as a first round upset, them getting upset. But that's only if they have like 9 wins. If they have 7 to 8 wins, it's weird, but I'd put them through to the quarterfinals. Because region standings would depend on that. And I think, honestly, Burke can play either the role of spoiler or get spoiled.
I mean, when you talk about Burke, though, Burke County's gonna walk in with a number 1 seed anyway.
Well, not a number 1.
Well. Hold on. Let me rephrase it. They're gonna walk in as region champions. They're gonna get a top 8 seed.
Yeah, let me see that.
Regardless how you want to spin it, that's going to happen because they got a weak region. They got a weak region, except for Thompson.
They still have to play Thompson. So I would not easily just say, oh, that's a walk in the park. Sure, I think I picked Burke County to beat Thompson too, but it's not going to be a walk in the park with how Thompson is reeling from the past 2 years.
Thompson still got to prove themselves.
They do. They do. But I'm not going to say it's a walk in the park. We know what the region championship game is. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, Thompson and Burke County.
Yeah, and that takes place in October.
Yeah, I wish that was the last week of the year. I really do. I wish that was the last game of the year, but it's not.
Because after Burke plays Thompson, they got Josie, Butler, and Laney. Lucy Laney.
Laney's fine, but
I like Laney for the upset on one of those teams. Laney will, and mark my words, y'all know me. Check my receipt.
Laney is solid. That's actually like that's a certified ball knower pick.
Yes,
And
Laney will upset
Laney's a good
either
team.
Burt or Thompson.
I could see them probably. Let's see. Do they play? They play at Thompson and at home versus Burke. They could definitely pull off that last week upset versus Burke because I mean, look at Burke. You've just come off of playing a bunch of average teams, and then you enter the playoffs and you're focused on that first round game. I could definitely see them overlook a Laney team that's very streaky on offense. Sometimes really depends on the matchup they get.
Yep.
So let's see. How you doing, Mr. Morris Shields? Welcome. Cody Taylor says Pierce County's quarterback, running back, there is an absolute beast.
He is 2,000 yards rushing, 2,000 yards passing. Caden McGuffey is really good.
He is, and very balanced. How you doing? Mr. Cornelius? How you doing, Barry? Oscar says Carver Columbus at least number 2. That's only because Pierce won state last year.
I don't know about that. The issue with Carver Columbus is their offense. I mean, look at the stats, and it seems like statistically they're totally fine. They run the ball really well. It's pretty much a given that they'll have a 1,000-yard rusher every year. It's awesome. But they're a defensive-focused team, and the issue with being an extremely defensive-focused team is you're susceptible to upsets, and that's what we saw. We saw them lose to Hapeville. We saw them beat Upson Lee in what is a generationally low game, 8-7. So it leaves a lot of room for upsets, and I think Carver Columbus' defense is really good, but to say they were a top 2 team last year is not close. They need to have some sort of offense for that.
And I agree with you. One thing I have always said about Carver Columbus is you're going to get a hell of a defensive team, and they're going to run that ball down your throat. They're going to be great against stopping the run. They're going to have some edge rushers that can get to the quarterback and things like that. And they're going to try to run the ball down your throat. So if you do have an offense that can probably break their defense, a pretty good defense that can keep their offense off the field. Therefore, their defense is spending a lot of time and getting fatigued and getting tired and burned out. That's where I think the offense, the letdowns come in. Great example was the Northeast game they played a year or two ago. Both of those games, you had a hell of a running back in Nick Wolford who can keep drives going, keep Carver Columbus defense on the field. Offense not being able to do anything, and I think that was the upset. But I think Carver turned the corner this year. I actually have them and Pierce County, depending on how the seeding go, possibly coming down to the state championship in 2A.
That's bold. That is really bold. I mean, looking at the 2A, like if these top 10 teams are the top 10 in the entirety of 2A, because that's how the bracket's going to set up, you could definitely see it. I wouldn't. I'm still waiting for that Pierce versus Appling State Championship because I think the whole world
never happened. Never happened.
I wish. I mean, wouldn't that be fun?
I just absolutely love how Drew says that's bold. That's his nice way of saying, "Man, you crazy." Shut up.
It's not always crazy. It's just like, well, sometimes you'll know the context in which I mean bold as crazy. But there's sometimes bold is almost like a sense of. It's an interesting take to stand on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna read Oscar Miles. How you doing, Mr. Watkins? 4A state champion in the building. Lord have mercy. Welcome, Mr. Watkins. And Mr. Hamilton has a question about Cook being number 8, but I'm gonna read what Oscar says. He says, "Keep thinking that our offense is loaded. It comes down to coaching, play calling.
Is this Carver Columbus?
Yeah, this is Carver Columbus.
Okay, well, so my point with that is, I agree with you. Your offense is loaded. It comes down to play calling. But can you genuinely look at the past 5 years and tell me that Carver Columbus is actually decent on offense? Has it in big games? Do they actually step up on offense? I mean, how about I? You know what? People love stats. How about I give you a stat? In a loss in the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons. In a loss, Carver Columbus has never scored more than 30 points. Every single time they've lost a game, they've scored under 30 points. Go back to 2019, they scored 20 against Marist, 26 against Harris County. 2020, they scored 22 against Jefferson. I remember that game. In 2021, they scored 22 on Lee, 28 on Benedictine. 2022, they scored 8 on Northeast, 14 on Thomasville, and 6 on Oconee. And then this past year, 18 on Northeast, 22 on Brookwood, 26 on Hapeville, and 26 on Savannah Christian. So for Carver Columbus to really ascend, they need to be able to overcome the days when their defense is having a bad night. And I don't see anything so far that has been able to tell me that that's going to happen. Because if that was the case, this offense would be scoring 30. They might lose still, but at least they would score 30 in those types of games. And I just don't see it. So when it says it comes down to play calling, I agree. It does come down to play calling. You're 100% right. But there's nothing in the past 4 or 5 years, which is when Carver Columbus has really been relevant on this stage, to show me that in the future something will change.
I have a question for you, Drew, and I'm trying to figure out how to word it so
Go
it
ahead.
won't sound silly.
Oh,
But
no, don't worry about it. Don't worry
no,
about it.
I'm okay. So experience, like when you're looking at making your predictions or whatever, like
Mhm.
how much does experience come into it? Say you have a team like last year, they were young, but they didn't do so great, but they're a year older.
Okay,
You give
that's a
them credit.
great question. That's actually a great question. So when you look at the landscape of making predictions for the next year, right? The
Mhm.
best way to start with it is to look at what's happened last year and does this team return a lot from it. So that does play a factor, and it's actually probably the biggest factor is returning production, returning talent, transfers. I mean, ones that I know off the top of my head in this landscape, you never know. But that is the number one key: returning production, returning talent. However, you have to contextualize these stats. You just throw out stats out there, it doesn't mean anything. You have to put it in context, right? So what I do is I like to look back for teams that I'm not really certain about. Like some teams have a proven history of when they have more talent returning, they do good. So one example is Cook. Now, if you guys looked at my prediction for Cook, you would know that I put them at 4-6, which people are going to hate. Go ahead, hate me for it. But one of the things I see is Cook follows that cycle very closely in the past 5 to 6 years, where when they have a team that returns a lot of production, that team actually does a lot better than they did the previous year. But when they lose that production, they actually fall off just a little bit. So when I made my Cook prediction for 4-6, I go game by game. I see that they lose a lot from last year, so they fit that cycle of going up and down. So they were headed down, but I don't think they're going to fall off the map. They'll still be a good team. But when you combine it with that schedule, you're looking at a pretty tough draw. So it does matter, but you have to put it into context. You also have to look at the coach that's there. For example, Peachtree Ridge. Peachtree Ridge did really good last year. They went 9-1 or something, right? And they return a lot of that production, which is a good thing. However, you got to look at the situation. Matt Helmrich is the head coach. He did the same thing at Johns Creek, where he recruits a bunch. Let's be honest, he recruits a bunch. They have one great year, and then they just fall off. And 2 years later, they're back to winning 4 games. So, sure, Peachtree Ridge has a lot of returning production, but I'm not high on them this year. I'm not going to give them 9 wins again. They have a tougher schedule for one, and two, this coach has a proven history of being all right, but not amazing. So putting in all this in context helps a lot.
Got you.
Makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Yep, that's the goal. Just make it make sense.
Yeah, it does. Okay. Hey, brother, how are you doing? TA
What's going
says,
on,
hey,
cousin?
James, and Mr. James, I apologize if I say your name incorrectly. Please sound it out because you deserve to have your name spoken correctly. But Mr. Riendow, however, I apologize. So
I recognize the last name. I think Parks. Isn't that the name of the quarterback? Parks? Could this be his father? I don't know.
I don't know. But either way, welcome to our podcast. He's Camden, standing on unfinished business.
I like Camden.
Okay. Do you have them winning that region?
I don't know if they'll win the region because it's a dangerous region to go through. But I was looking, so I did some off-season research. It's tough to predict a team like Camden because, for example, just like Marist, when you look at Marist, like that's a team that runs a certain type of offense. You know, Camden runs their wing T offense. I didn't do a Camden prediction, sorry. But when you look at Camden, the wing T offense they run, it's very much, you don't need to worry too much about returning production. It's just about the scheme and about the head coach. So I looked at this head coach, and he seems to be a very accomplished head coach. I think Camden made a good hire with Travis Rowland. I really do. And I think they'll be dangerous in region too. I think they will probably beat Richmond Hill, of course. I'm pretty sure they can beat Lowndes. They can probably beat Colquitt if they try. They can beat They can literally beat everybody on that schedule. It's very much possible they could beat everybody on that schedule. I'm all for it. I want to see Camden and the Wing T, because Wing T gets a lot of hate. I'll be honest. Like, a lot of people just sit there and complain to me all day about, oh, the Wing T sucks. It doesn't prepare anybody for anything. It sucks. Every team that uses the Wing T fails. I want to see a team like Camden go and prove them wrong. And they did last year. It was awesome to see. I mean, I'm not biased toward any team, but when you see a team like Camden, who, what was they, like 3 losses in the regular season, they got pummeled by
four.
County. Yeah. And they go to the playoffs, and they just run over Mill Creek. They run over McEachern, and they give a scare to Walton too. That's fun to see, honestly. I love watching that style of offense. I really do.
Well, here on FNL, I know myself, and I don't think the panel has came up with any kind of predictions on that region, but I actually have Tift County making the playoffs this year, and that's a receipt that y'all can keep. Tift will upset. I think it will be Valdosta's region to win or lose, we'll say, and Colquitt, Camden, and Tift fall in whatever prospective order. But
is that because of Jeff Littleton?
Yes.
Okay. So I thought about that, right? So when I made Valdosta and Colquitt predictions, I think. So I really thought about that idea of could Tift, and even Bainbridge, right? So I even thought about that Bainbridge, because Bainbridge plays Tift this year. And if you tell me, I mean, that's a great game because, well, storylines.
Yeah,
but,
he left them and went there.
Exactly. So I'm looking at this thing like, okay, could Jeff Littleton, like, could he just turn this Tift team around? So I thought about that. I was like, can I pick Tift in an upset to beat one of these guys? But I stayed away from it. And I'll tell you the reason why. But he's a great coach, all right? Jeff Littleton's a great coach. Don't get me wrong. But he is not a guy that's going to come in and I think turn around the program on day one. It's going to take time. Remember, this is a guy who inherited a 7-4, 8-3 type team at Bainbridge. And then he started off at 5-6, 6-5, and then hit that goal at 13-1, semifinals appearance in 2015. So I think he's going to make Tift County a respectable team, a 6-7 win team, but I think that's going to happen in 2 to 3 years, and I don't think it'll happen this year. So for now, I'm going to say Nick misses the playoffs and loses to Bainbridge. But in future years, that result is going to start to flip.
Bold.
It's bold, but I don't think he's an instant impact. I think he's a gradual, long-term build the program around him.
What's going on, Mr. Tough? Welcome to the podcast. He says, "Go Pack, go Pack, go." Yes, he's talking about Colquitt. Mr. James says Camden has a new offense, so that'll be interesting.
I miss it.
Obadiah says that if Tift makes the playoffs, they're going in as the 4th seed.
Guaranteed, no other way.
Chad says, "Hey, podcast crew, checking in from Thomasville. Go Dogs." That's a great segue into the Division 1. I always get it mixed up.
Yeah, 81, 82, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. That's a great segue. So welcome, Mr. Murphy. How you doing? Patrick, I do not hate that you won the state. I hate that you are I hate that you're not used to nothing. That's what I hate. I have too much stuff going on in my life to worry about what you do. Mr. Tuss says Colquitt wins back-to-back region.
In Wood.
Back-to-back region? Okay.
In Wood.
I had him losing. Look, I had Colquitt losing to Valdosta this coming year.
Definitely.
And Bass Fishing.
Because that region belongs to Valdosta this year.
Mr.
On that
John,
part, no comment.
Mr. John, welcome to the podcast. Telfair is D2, right? Yeah, he has a question about Telfair County and why they're not on this poll. I don't know if that's your question, but welcome to the podcast. And I'm thinking they are D2 because I don't even think Telfair came up.
No, Telfair is D2. We're D2 next week.
Yeah,
I think he was just asking our opinion on Telfair. Because if he's a Telfair fan, I'm sure he knows that they're not into it.
they're a good team in terms of like winning. Like they win games. At least they have 19 over the past 2 years. But they really need to be consistent. I mean, they like look at last year. I mean, I think they beat like Bryan County and Portal and Macon County, which is great. And then they lose to Dooley and Troutland or whatever. So
True.
True.
yeah,
True.
them, and neither of them are good teams. So this team needs to find some consistency. Like they play up to their competition, they play down to their competition. They're a good team. The thing is, they just need that sort of consistency and that treat every game like a championship game. They need that kind of mindset to make it farther in the playoffs.
And kind of find
Farther in
their
the playoffs,
identity.
championship
Right.
game. Yeah.
How you doing, sis? Checking in from Peach County.
Hey, Marika.
How you doing? Obadiah wants to know, do we have Thomasville winning their region?
Wait, I gotta check.
No, I don't.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember who in.
I think
Yeah.
I think Worth give them a run for their money this year.
Correct. Aha.
So
Good pick.
yeah, I think it's Worth.
Okay,
I
right.
have. It's tough. I have a 3-way tie between Thomasville, Fitzgerald, and Worth.
Oh.
Well,
Because I have
Fitzgerald. I mean, I know they are wing T offense, and I know you were just speaking of that. It does pose a lot of problems for a lot of defense, especially if you're not used to seeing that wing T and a lot of that misdirection that things. I see a lot of defensive teams and defensive players getting caught up in looking for the ball. It's the way I look at it, what I call it, but I just think Fitzgerald lost too much. And I know what you said about when you run the wing T is really not about production from last year because it's like a plug and play system in the offensive scheme. But I just think Fitzgerald take a step back this year. I don't think they completely fall off.
Yeah, you're right about Fitzgerald. I agree. Like you nailed it. Like you nailed it. I couldn't have said it better.
So I think it comes down to Thomasville and Worth.
Okay, I could see that. I think so. When we talk about wing T, there's something I want to touch on. It's a little bit off topic, but I do want to touch on it. So a lot of people might have heard Lowndes is moving to the wing T.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of people look at that and either laugh at that or think that's a dumb move. It's the right move. It is 100% the right move because if you've ever watched Lowndes football in the past, I don't know, 10 years. When you look at Lowndes, not a lot of times you see that's a quarterback, that's a wide receiver. You look at them and say, that's an athlete, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ja'Cory Brown, I mean, let's be honest. He's a great, great rusher. But in terms of passing the ball, you saw that issue in high school at times, and you see it at Miami a lot. And now he's going to UCF. So they have athletes. They have athletes that can play. Michael Barrett. Remember Michael Barrett? Yeah, athlete. All right. So I think when you move to an offense like the wing T, it starts to strip those natural positions away, the natural quarterback, the natural receiver. It puts you in a position to be an athlete, somebody who can run, somebody who can make a move, right? So I think moving to that kind of offense and allowing the players to cultivate themselves as athletes and not quarterbacks or receivers actually fits really well for what type of program Lowndes has. So if Lowndes wants to get back to the top, they can go back to being the program they used to with their passes and their runs and whatever, their standard offense. But I think it starts with resetting yourself. It's almost like hitting a reset button and going back to the wing T, to the foundation, the basics, cultivating athletes before you cultivate quarterbacks, kind of like that.
Okay. My brother T. Abe says the false key reads in the wing T give undisciplined teams the blues.
Oh yeah, they do.
So let me go back up to these comments. Mr. Tuff Senior says Valdosta doesn't have a defense this year.
Also true.
Barry Van says he likes Toombs to win D1A.
Toombs is like a nice blend of like production and talent. Like their quarterback did really good. I think he had like 27 TDs and like 6 picks last year. But then they also have Lagonza Hayward, who's also, I'd probably said his name wrong, but he's a really, really good player committed to Tennessee. So I actually like Toombs a good bit. I mean, they caught me off guard last year, obviously, with the way that they played. But and look at the poll on the screen, and you guys have Toombs number 1, which is not a bad pick. I also look at having Dublin that low is interesting.
I will tell you why in a minute. Let me read this what Mr. Stone says. He says, I feel really good about our Waco defense this year. I would love to see Waco be back where they were myself.
Me too. And they could pull off. And I was talking to a player on Washington County a few days ago, and he was talking to me, asking like, the schedule is kind of brutal in region. Do you think we could make the playoffs? And he said, if there was ever a chance for us to upset a team, which team do you think we could upset? And the game I circled was Bleckley County. I think Bleckley County is a game that Washington County could pull off the upset in. And it would be run by that defense, by that Waco defense. So there you go.
Okay. Mr. Watkins says that Perry will win back-to-back state.
In what?
I was waiting on it.
Yeah, I am too. I'm kind of waiting on that as well.
EA Sports.
I mean,
that's crazy.
I mean, everybody on the panel and the listeners know I might be the one Peach County guy that actually cheers for Perry when Peach and Perry is not playing.
You are the only one.
Yeah. A lot of that due to the fact that the quarterback a couple of years ago, Ahmad Gordon, and the running back Ahmad Gordon are my cousins. So I gotta give some love. I gotta give some love there.
Well, that's two beasts right there. I'll tell you.
Yes, definitely. But with that being said, the toughest, and I went down and looked. I thought the Brooks County and Single A, the Region 1 of Perry and Bainbridge, and Perry, Warner Robins, Benedictine, Ware, and I looked at the HOCO Lee, Thomas County Central. It's hands down. Region 1 and 4A is the toughest region in Georgia high school football this year. If Perry runs through that region, which I don't see happening, they don't win the state championship. If Perry has problem in that region, they don't win the state championship. So
they're not going to.
They're not going to win that region nor the state championship. Now, with that being said, Perry will still have a good team. I don't take anything away from them, but I got them at least 3 or 4 in that region.
That's a good take. I think I made my Perry prediction actually today. Like, it was on my recent post today, and I had him going. I think it was 6-4 because I had him losing to like Houston County or something, and then losing to Ware, Benedictine, and Warner Robins, which I could see them win at least one of those games. But the thing that hurts the most for Perry is they are so good at running the football. But the issue, the reason they made it to state last year is because they could also pass the football well. That two-dimensional offense allowed them to be so versatile. But the thing is, once you take that away, once you have Coulter go off to UGA, you need to find another stable situation at quarterback. I mean, you're not going to have another guy just transfer him from Peach County again. I don't think that's how that's going to work.
Hell no.
So I don't think DJ Hudson's going to leave. So I think Perry's going to be a little bit more one-dimensional this year, focused on getting Ahmad Gordon the ball, which is a good thing. But I feel like more experienced defenses, especially one like Warner Robins that has Dinkins and Isaiah Gibson in the front, Gibson in the front 7, Dinkins in the secondary. More experienced defenses like that will be able to take advantage of it.
Okay, so of course you have some you all have some kickback from the Panthers of Perry, Mr. Cornelius, Mr. Watkins, and my friend Eddie. How you doing, friend? I didn't tell you earlier, but how you doing, friend? They have a little
disagreement.
Yeah, disagreement.
It's fine. You know, I think the disagreement goes both ways. I had some people from Cedar Grove say last year, I think I picked Cedar Grove to go 5-5 or something like that. And people were all over me saying, it's Cedar Grove, they're not going 5-5. Well, they went 5-5 and they still won state. So
based on that,
you never know.
You can't use them in no example. That's apple and oranges.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm just saying.
No, bro, we're not going to get on that. We not.
No, we're not. We're not. We're not going to get on that. All I'm saying, all I want to say is we should have won at a minimum the Carver Montgomery game. We should have won that.
Well, yeah, definitely should have won that game. I mean, I looked at that game and I said, I don't know what the heck this team did.
Monarchy.
No, EJ did not play that game. We had a freshman at quarterback.
I could tell. Somebody did tell me after that game, which makes total sense. But I mean, with the talent on that team, you should not have EJ and still win that game.
And I agree with you on that.
But he's got a year under his belt now, so he's gonna be he's a kingmaker this year. Ain't that right, Mike?
But that's his name, King.
The one game that Cedar Grove's defense actually stepped up.
I know, right? No, we stepped up in 3A for a little bit.
Yeah, because you're playing. I mean, you almost lost to Hebron and Calvary Day 42. I mean, look.
Yeah, but you know, hey, we was giving up 50 a game, was scoring 49. So come on.
I agree, and that's a very dangerous thing to live by.
Mr. Hurst also said, going back, and I'm just trying to get these comments in. Lowndes got a new quarterback this year, and so we'll see how that new offense goes with him. Let's see, what else are we seeing? I'm not paying no attention to nothing to these pair folks going back. Mr. Allen, that's what I was looking for. How you doing, Mr. Allen? And welcome to our podcast. He says Cook will make it back to the Final Four this year.
All right,
listen,
got to bring up my Cook prediction.
With that juggernaut of a schedule, Mr. Allen, if you all can get through that, get to the playoffs and without being battered and bruised, you deserve to get to the Final Four. You really do, because I don't know who came up with it or if it just fell that way, but that schedule is absolutely brutal. It really is.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Cook. I mean, they're a great team. I think the issue here is, first of all, that schedule. The second thing is you got to replace Folsom, the quarterback, McKeever, the running back. You got to replace your top 2 receivers as well. And then if you look at the defensive side of the ball, you lose 3 of your top 4 tacklers, especially the guy that had 20 TFLs for you. So I think, I mean, you'll even look at the secondary. You got to replace your basically your entire secondary. So it's going to be a lot of
just an uphill battle
and trying to make it work. And having that schedule in a season where you have to stick people in the places and hope it works is not a great strategy. Unlucky for Cook, really is unlucky. But I think they'll go 4-6 in the regular season and still probably make the quarterfinals. So
my problem is their region. They got one of the toughest regions in 2A.
Hands down.
If not. So I'm sorry. I see them taking a 3 seed walking in.
I got them as 2 seed. I think they.
I think Appleton County gets them though. I think Appleton County gonna get them.
Appleton this year. I really do. I think, and the fact that again it won't be any seedings in that classification, but the top 4 teams in that region will definitely be Pierce, followed by Cook, Appleton, and then Crisp.
Well, we know what 4 teams are making from that region.
Definitely.
Okay. Don't forget, we got at-large bids this year.
Yeah, wish they would have just kept it simple.
Chris County ain't guaranteed.
Yeah, no, 3 and 4 not guaranteed, are they?
Yeah, 3 or 4 seeds ain't guaranteed to make the playoffs based on your power rating.
True, but I mean, look at the bracket. There's so many open spots. I mean, you're gonna have teams playing a bunch of cupcakes, and then you're gonna have teams like Chris playing an actually challenging schedule, like a decently good schedule. And remember, one of the main component of that is opponents' win percentage and opponents' win percentage. So if Chris is playing better teams, which they are, then they're gonna make the playoffs, even as a 4 seed.
Let me see. Love it, Doherty. See, they got too many non-region games for me. I think it's gonna hurt them. For the teams in that region, they got a lot of non-region games, and I think it's gonna hurt them.
I like more non-region games, but for the playoffs, it might hurt them. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at towards the playoff. Because Sumter County. I'm looking at Chris County schedule right now.
Yeah,
Sumter
that's
County.
something that American something can be a trap game for them.
Yeah.
They have a
Ooh, yeah.
rivalry between those two, and I think American Sumter will be real good this year. In that Columbus region, I like them to be the 2 seed behind Carver Columbus, with Spencer falling at 3, and not sure who would be the 4th team. You have Shaw, maybe one of those other Columbus teams get in, but I think the top 3 teams would definitely be Carver Columbus, followed by American Sumter, and then Spencer.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Okay. How you doing, Mr. Monfort Senior? Welcome. We will be talking Division 1 D2 next week, so make sure you tune in next week too. He said, "Let's go, Big Green County, checking in for them Borough boys." Okay. King and Patrick, y'all, I'm gonna let y'all handle that. Mr. Knowlton, welcome to the podcast. He says, "What do you all think about Pierce County?" We talked about them a little earlier, but we will say they are number 1 in our poll, and with the quarterback that you have, we think Pierce County will do quite well in Division 2, one of the top teams there, and will definitely be playing well into November.
Hey, real quick, babe, not to interrupt you, but you know that's what I do. I just wanted to touch on team Eddie Gary's comment. He asked Drew what was his high school team and how do you think they will look this year. You Peachtree Ridge, right?
No, I'm North
No,
Gwinnett.
North Gwinnett.
North Gwinnett.
No, not Peachtree Ridge. Never.
He's
You're
North
right.
Gwinnett, but he spoke on. Because I know you spoke on Peachtree Ridge earlier, and I just wanted to let Eddie know that he wasn't on at the time. I thought you was Peachtree Ridge.
No, I'm North Gwinnett. Our school should be pretty good. Definitely not the caliber of the teams back in 2017 and 19 when we had Tyler Goodson, Josh Downs, Warren Burrell, DJ Turner. Not that team. They'll be solid. I think the key for them is trying to get away from that power read style offense. And I hope the defense can step up and make some plays. The new head coach we have for the past 2 years now is Eric Godfrey from Parkview, more of an offensive-centric head coach. But I'm hoping we get back to our defensive ways. Otherwise, we're not going to make it against Colquitt. We're not going to make it in the playoffs.
So how far do you think you'll get in the playoffs? Do you see?
Probably second round, knowing my guys.
Okay.
Second round. There's some people. There's another Instagram account like Red Zone Georgia has them like pretty much going all the way. That's not going to happen.
And Mr. Williams says, "Let's go Swainsboro Tigers. We got a tough region, but I think we will be okay." Welcome, Mr. Williams.
Well, when we speak about Swainsboro, I know we touched on it a little bit last show. When you lose the type of player you lost in DeMello Jones, man, it's hard to replace that kind of talent. Now, there's a lot of talent down in Swainsboro, so I don't look for Swainsboro to fall off. But I don't see Swainsboro being, going back again after 2 or 3 times they've been in the state championship. Should have pulled at least one of them off. Ran up against some great PAC teams, if I'm not mistaken, in those championship games. But I think that was your best chance. I don't see Swainsboro making a championship run this year with what they do have coming back and some guys that are probably going to step up. But DeMello Jones was a special player, and I don't see you all replacing that just this year.
Mr. Britt says, "I'll be sure to update you guys during Friday's scrimmage against those mighty Valdosta Wildcats." Welcome, Mr. Britt. Mr. Stokes, welcome. He said, "What do you see Toombs County in the state championship game?"
Toombs they have the opportunity, they have the talent. I'll say that. And I think some things going to probably play out with them with their schedule and things like that. But again, they are in this new bracket system, so you don't know how that's going to play out with it being the first year. So I guess we'll have to watch and see how that play out. But yeah, Toombs definitely have the talent to be a state championship team.
Here's the only thing with Toombs County. They're going to get tested against Savannah Christian last game of the season. We know that for a fact. But
I mean, Savannah Christian has 2 of the top defensive linemen in the state. Let's be honest. and Elijah Griffin, and can't think of number 18 name at this time. Y'all do apologize. And he may just be better than Elijah, just to be honest. I watched him play Peach County last year in the first round of the playoffs, and the kid is going to be special. Now, with that being said, I think Toombs will be a little too much on offense for that defense.
Yeah, but what I was gonna get at was they got, which I'm shocked to see them playing Rome in their non-region schedule. You know, got Rome on the schedule. You know, they open up August 23rd against Northern.
I do not understand.
I don't. But at the end of the day, it helps them when they get into this playoff in D1.
Yeah, I disagree.
So, I'm gonna put it like this. Bottom line is, I see Toombs as the home team in the state championship game.
It depends on who they run into. Honestly, it depends on who they play in the playoffs. Because we can say right now that Toombs County is just they're going to make state. Yeah, but have them what if they run into? I'm looking at this 81 top 10, right? What if they run into Swainsboro? What if? Rematch.
They got Swainsboro in the region. They're gonna play them in the region. They play them October 4th.
Exactly. So say Toombs County beat Swainsboro first time out. What if they play Swainsboro again?
Yeah.
Can you say that with full certainty that Toombs is going to beat Swainsboro 2 times in a row? We know how this works. If you beat a team the first time, there is a pretty dang good chance that the second time you're going to lose. So I think it just depends on what the bracket outlook looks like. Because if Toombs County is going to have a tough road, do they look like one of the teams that should be in the state championship? Maybe, yeah, pretty much. But I would not guarantee them a place in the state championship. I definitely would not guarantee them.
And that's the point I was saying with this new bracket. You really don't know. You know they have the talent and should be, but with this new bracket system, you really don't know how it's going to shape up and who they can run up against.
Yeah. What's going on, Mr. Estes? Tiff County does have Brooks County in the scrimmage. And I see Mr. Roscoe Smith checking in from Brooks County. Welcome, sir. We got Mr. Corey Allen from the Worth County Rams. So let's talk about a little bit about Worth County because they've been a sleeper for a couple of years, but
we think they finally wake up.
Yeah,
we think they finally wake up this year.
Yeah, I mean they're a good team. I mean, who do they have? Fulton? It was Dante Fulton or something. I forgot the name of their receiver, but they have really good players. And then Worthy, the quarterback. I think its name is Worthy too, the quarterback. But freshman quarterback last year, 27 TDs, 11 picks, from what I remember. I only see him getting better and better. I mean, if you're a freshman coming in and throwing 27 TDs, this is a good player. I think he'll get better. I think Worth has enough offensive firepower to actually, we talk about Carver and how they have a great defense, and then we ask, but what if one game they play an offense that's really good? Yeah, this is one of those offenses that is actually really good. So for a lot of the defensive focused teams on the schedule, I'm looking at it right now. You look at a team like maybe Irwin County, right, or Fitzgerald, or Thomasville for that matter. You look at them and you're like, this should be an easy win, right? It's Irwin, it's Fitzgerald, it's Thomasville. Oh, watch out.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree.
Man, I like that return of production they got coming back this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you go in and you look at the numbers that were put up by what's his name, London Worthy.
Yeah, Landon Worthy or something like that.
That's ridiculous. 2,600 yards
as a freshman is pretty good.
That's ridiculous. Them Juju type numbers.
Yeah.
All right, let's not go that far.
We ain't gonna go that crazy. We ain't gonna go that crazy because Juju put up over $3,000.
Look, Juju's different. If he goes to US,
but let's be honest. Let's be honest. Real quick, bro.
They got some good production. They got some good production coming back in there, and it's young.
Yeah, and if you think about the passing records for the state of Georgia, top 10. If you crack over 3,000 yards, you damn near in the top 10 in the state per season. So for a freshman to come in and throw 2,600 yards, not that far off, one or two games away from breaking into the top 10 as a freshman, you only expect him to get better. Now he had a great slew of wide receivers, a room of wide receivers that was helping him with that, and they're only going to get better. So I see the kid going for 3,000 yards this year. The offense will be scary, and that's why I have them winning that region with Thomasville being second.
They'll be a good team. I really can't wait to. I'm ready to watch them. I really want to watch their game. That's why I have them. I had them upsetting. Oh crap! Who was it? I had them upsetting Thomasville. I think because I think Thomasville is a team that's prone to like things spiraling out of control. And look at the crit. Not like in terms of a program. I'm talking about like in a certain game. Like if something goes bad, it just gets worse for them. Like there's no sense of like, oh, we got to right the ship. Like it doesn't happen. Like they play crisp and it starts out iffy and it just gets worse and worse and worse and they lose by what 40. So I think Worth County could drop a couple bombs on them early and then Thomasville gets a little flustered and well.
Oh,
happening. Mr. Warriors is from New Hampstead. Welcome, sir. How you doing, Mr. Suggs? From
another scary team. Another scary team in that Region 1 4A.
New Hampstead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Adam, that's what I was going to read to you guys. Miss Adam says he heard his quarterback, he's a Tift County Blue Devil. He said our quarterback is very athletic, and we have a wide receiver that is 6'7" and making big moves. So that might pose a problem for some people.
What the hell y'all doing with that center, that power forward out there playing wide receiver? Is what I want to know.
That's exactly what's happening. They got some of those basketball players out there on the football field. Maybe they decided to come back because they're excited about the program now. Let me see what else we have, and we're going to talk about this D1 public poll a little bit more, and then at that point, y'all can probably ask Drew whatever y'all need to ask him.
Fire away whenever y'all want.
Let's see. Dublin, why would you have put Dublin up higher, Drew, than where we have Dublin?
Well, I think it comes down to returning production. They got a lot of that. I think most importantly for a team like them, it's returning production in the running back backfield. And they have both of their top two running backs returning. I think Dublin's going to be a good team. And I would put them higher than 10th. I would put them probably near, like, I think they're going to be a better team than Worth. Like, I know Worth is a good team, but we're talking about Worth right now as like a sleeper team. Usually the top 5 and top 6 is like, the way I think about it is almost reserved for like teams that we know are going to be good this year. So I would put Worth somewhere near like 9 or 10, and I would have Dublin in the top. I think Dublin will be a better team than Bleckley. Dublin will be a better team than Thomasville and maybe Commerce, definitely Elbert, definitely Swainsboro, definitely Northeast, around that same. So I put like Northeast top 6, Dublin definitely top 3 maybe. So I think Dublin's going to be a good team. Other than that, it just comes down to what they can do on offense and running football, and I think that's something they're starting to get back to, and I think they'll be good.
See, okay, Drew, now hold on. Drew, you said something earlier in the podcast in the show about a team being 2-dimensional.
Correct.
Right.
But here's the issue. So you're right. You're right about that. However, look at the classification you're playing in. So it's different in terms of which classification you're playing. If you're playing at the upper classification, you need to be 2-dimensional, because if you're not, you're going to get stuffed. But look at a class like 81 or 82. You don't need to be 2-dimensional because none of the teams in that classification are 2-dimensional. Being 2-dimensional at a level like that is actually a plus. Look at Sly County, right? That's a team that could throw the ball for 3,000 yards. That's the reason they made it so far. You take away that passing offense, they go back to being the most 6-4 team you've ever seen. So, like in low classes like Class A, how is Irwin County good? How are Brooks County good? They're not 2-dimensional. They run the ball only. So in the smaller classes, you don't need to be 2-dimensional. Dublin does not need to be 2-dimensional. In 4A, yeah, you need to be 2-dimensional, or you're going to get stuffed all the time.
Well, let me ask you this, Drew. So, do you think the combining of classifications will have an effect on that? You don't think it will make a difference at all?
Yes. It definitely will make a difference. I think that difference will start to kick in over the next couple of years. If they keep this system going, it'll kick in over the next couple of years. Right now, for this immediate year, we're going to see some fluctuations. We're going to see some times where a heavy run team is going to upset a bigger team that is private and is more used to playing in higher classifications because they're not used to it. But it's all going to even out in the future, is what I think.
Okay. Excellent assessment. How you doing, Jeremy?
Drew, I hear what you're saying, right? And I get it. Now, here's my biggest issue. When you look at the schedule for Dublin this year,
Okay.
9 region games they got to play.
Yep. It's a big one.
9 region games. They open up against Swainsboro, away at Swainsboro, and then you walk in the region play the following week, and you're in region play for the rest of the year. In your region, you got to deal with Blakely County. We know that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really it. Unless you want to throw Dodge in the mix, but they're not dealing with anything. Now, this is what I'm looking at: Toombs County, Raven, Worth, Thomasville. They're going to be 2-dimensional this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be 2-dimensional, but they'll be average 2-dimensional. Are you gonna look? Be honest and tell me when your team is really good 2-dimensional. We're talking teams like Perry last year that could actually be 2-dimensional. Not a team that's trying to establish an identity around the run, but then throws it for like 17 TDs and 6 picks. That's barely.
So you're gonna sit up at Toombs, Raven County, Worth, Thomasville. They're not trying to build no identity around the run game. They're going to throw the ball.
Correct, but the thing with Thomasville's in a different situation than Raven is because Thomasville is all right passing. They are not excellent passing. It's just they're not. They turn the ball over too many times through the air. They're all right, but they're not amazing. They're not Rabin County level passing with Gunnar Stockton or.
No, I'm not saying they're Rabin counties, but the Rosin Jr. at quarterback that they got, yeah. He got a year.
He's not insane right now.
No. What I'm saying is he's going to show his growth from last year to this year, which is going to help Thomasville out.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you, but the thing is, the entirety of last season, I had to sit through and hear everybody from Thomasville tell me that Cam Hill was going to take a massive step forward. He didn't. So I'm still waiting on that time. I don't want to keep buying into false hope.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. During the season, that big step forward was not going to happen during that season. It was not going to happen last season. It happens from
entering that season. He said, you don't know how much work he put in this offseason. So I had people telling me that, and I look out and I see him against Bainbridge go 10 for 26, 83 yards and 2 picks.
I think he puts up a different production this year. My issue with Dublin is a running team. They're going to be playing catch up with those top 6 teams that's in this poll. They're going to be playing catch up. Yes, they're going to be 3 clouds and a dust. That's all they're going to do. 3 clouds and a dust. Those top 6 teams can strike quick on Dublin. I don't see Dublin competing with them.
You think? Okay. What about Dublin's defense? You don't think they're good?
Not when you can come at them with a passing game and a running game. Because here's my philosophy.
What team has a passing game good enough to overcome Dublin's? Is my question.
What passing game does Dublin have at all? Dublin doesn't have a passing game.
I'm talking about what teams have a good enough pass game to overcome Dublin's pass defense.
Those 6 top teams. Worth could do it. Toombs could probably do it. Raven could do it. Blakely, maybe, not really. Thomasville, maybe, not really. I'm telling you now, there's going to be the growth in the quarterback in Thomasville coming for this season. That growth that they were talking about last year is going to happen this year.
Go ahead. I'll wait and I'll watch it. I'm not going to say he won't. I just need to see it before I believe it.
Gotcha.
And I'm with you on that. But I got faith there's going to be growth in Thomasville. Now, is that growth going to be good enough for Thomasville to get to a semifinal? I doubt it.
Probably not.
That's not going to happen until his senior year. His senior year, if he has a supporting cast around him, he'll get them far as long as they're in D1.
Look,
and they're only playing nothing but public schools.
well, Cam Hill needs like he's good. I think it starts also with trying to see how he throws the ball. One of the things is his completion percentage is extremely low, especially in big games. He needs to take what he needs to take what the defense gives him a lot more. I've watched his film before. He needs to take what the defense gives him more because I had to look him up for my top 10 QBs list, right? Because I have to look through all these QBs. It's a boon and a bane at the same time. But I'm looking through him, and against the lower level teams, he's actually really good at finding the open guy. But the minute you put him in front of a defense that shows even the slightest bit of pressure, he folds. So he needs to first, it helps with play calling. You need to have better play calling. All right. And second, he needs to take what the defense gives him. He needs to make use of his legs a little bit more. He only does it in games where he desperately needs to do it. He needs to put a little bit more consistency with that. Needs to up his completion percentage a little bit, and then needs to he needs to throw less risky balls. You see, against Bainbridge, he had 2 picks. He was 10 of 26 and 84 yards against Calvary Day, and Calvary Day's defense was not good last year. They were average. So he needs to step up in a lot of fashions to get this team to where it needs to be. And I am yet to see that. I'm yet to buy into that. So if you're going to tell me he's the one who's going to beat Dublin, a team that held Swainsboro to just 20, and Netter to 0, and Brooks to just 22, like I don't see it just yet. I really don't.
And I'm not going to debate that you don't see it because you have to remember he started out. He's gained experience since his freshman year.
Agreed.
All right. He played a full season last year. It was his first time playing a full season. Here's my as a quarterback. Here's my thing. He gained a lot of experience. Now, I'm giving him the upside of production and, as they say in the NFL and college, potential to improve. That's the key word. That's the key term here in this conversation is his potential to improve and grow. I think he makes that step and grows and actually throws for over 2,000 yards and has a completion percentage over 65%.
Oh,
I would love to see it. And the thing is, at this time, where we sit right now, I am definitely picking Dublin to beat Thomasville, 100%.
Okay, can we mark this? Can we mark this?
Go ahead.
We're gonna come back and talk about this. We're gonna break down. Hold on, wait.
We'll talk about real fast. Like his stats. Like you think 65%, over 65%, over 2,000 yards. I think it'll be more around 58, 59%. I think he'll have something around like 26 TDs, 27 TDs, and he'll have about 9 picks, something around that.
Well, see, this is the thing I'm looking at. The coach is going to adjust the game for him and give him shorter passes.
Well, I hope
instead of him having to make instead of him trying to make plays downfield. Because when you get to it, I think they're going to understand the TCC game. It's a wash. We're not even going to really stress out over that game.
Sorry, that's an L.
Yeah. It is, and that's what I'm saying. As a coaching staff, let's go out here and do our best. We're not gonna stress over it. We're gonna game plan for it, but reality is reality. Now, between Brooks, Pelham, and Cairo, it is what it is. Y'all can go out and play those 3 games and walk into the TCC game 3-0 if you go out and play your ball.
I think they could.
Maybe 2-1. 2-1 at the worst.
2-1 seems reasonable. Very reasonable.
Now, when you get into their region play, you get into the Thomasville region, Bacon County, Jeff Davis. Okay, yeah, you're going to play Worth, you're going to play Fitzgerald.
That region is actually littered with landmines. I mean, we look at them, we say, Bacon County, Berrien.
I know.
County. That's landmines.
It's full of trap games. I'm with you. It's full of trap games.
100%.
It's full of trap games. But
I don't
if
think
they stay
mature enough yet to handle those. As a whole, I don't think Thomasville is mature enough to handle those trap games yet. And I will tell you this right now. I did have a player tell me that they need to work on maturity. So,
and I'm with you on that. Here's my thing. Again, keyword potential. That's the key word in this whole conversation we're having, this dialogue we're having. For me, it's potential. I'm hoping that they grew from what they went through last year. Because again, you're facing a Brooks County team you played last year, a Cairo team you played last year. You know,
They'll beat Cairo. I think they'll beat Cairo.
yeah, yeah. But my thing is, and no, they didn't play. But my thing is, you're facing teams that you are familiar with. You should be familiar with.
Oh,
You should
definitely.
go out and handle business against those two teams. Pelham,
Especially
you
Cairo.
should handle that. My thing, I mean, they played Cairo last year. I mean, yeah, they got
They got
stopped.
to handle business. Cairo lost like half the team. They got to handle business in that game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And then TCC, it is what it is. We from
Yeah,
here
that's
on
not
out, we're not gonna talk about them playing
I
TCC.
don't
It is
care
what
about how
it
he
is.
does in that game. I really don't care about how he
Yeah,
does because it's not a good picture of how he plays the rest of the year. So I don't care about that
exactly.
for him.
But I think he has the potential to make that growth coming into his junior year. I, I that's what I'm hoping for that
I
potential to
agree
be
with
there.
you on the potential. I will agree with you on the potential, but I say right now he's capped at being your solid starting quarterback and nothing more. You think he'll be something special? I think he's going to be your average starting quarterback, and that's it. That's it.
Okay.
Well,
All
there
right.
we
We'll
have it,
see how that
guys.
goes. Obviously,
So, I mean, okay. I'm sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go
No,
ahead.
you good. You good.
Okay,
The
so
last thing I was gonna tell Drew is Drew. I do have a philosophy,
Mhm.
and my philosophy is this: in order for a team to make a state title game, you have to throw. He has to be able to throw for a minimum of 1,800 yards.
and that's
makes sense.
that's from 3A on up, right?
Yeah, 3A up. Now
Oh,
for
definitely. Oh, yeah,
D1,
good one.
for a 2A
Yeah,
down, for a 2A down
all bets are
at
off.
a minimum 15,
At a minimum, I could see that. Yeah,
1,500.
1,500 actually, when you think about it, is not that much. Like 1,500 in 15 games is 100 yards a game. Like, yeah.
Nah, but
Yeah.
a lot of teams from 2A now are run dominant teams.
hmm
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine as long as you're really good at it.
Yeah.
So we got a few questions for Drew. So we just gonna kind of
Fire away.
get
Let's
them.
do it.
Okay. So D asks Drew, why do you have my Bainbridge team going 7-3, and we have a new coach after 13 years and one of the youngest teams we've had in years?
Yes. So, first of all, I'm actually very intrigued by the fact that somebody isn't complaining about their team being ranked or rated too low. This one's about being rated too high. So that's a very interesting take. I'm going to pull up my Bainbridge prediction on the side here so I can take a look at it and kind of walk you through what my thought process was. So you're right about the youth. I completely agree. But if you look at that schedule, there's a lot of favorable outcomes. So Coffee, I penciled in as a loss. All right. And I think we both agree that that's a loss with how young Bainbridge is and the new coaching staff. The Cook game, the second game of the year, I think Bainbridge is going to win that one. Kind of because I think Bainbridge's defense will be well coached enough to take care of that. Cook doesn't return a lot of people, a new quarterback, new running back, new receivers, all of that. So I think Bainbridge has the advantage, especially with that being at home. At Ware County, that's a loss. I think. Home versus Tift County. This is the Jeff Littleton Bowl, right? And while I think Littleton's a great coach, it takes him time to get settled. I'm sure Mr. Williams. You remember? I don't know if you remember, but when Littleton took over, he didn't just jump in and win 13 games his first year. He actually he regressed from the previous coach, Ed Pilcher, 7-4 to 5-6, then to 6-5, then to 13-1. So he's a coach that takes time to build a program up. And I think in this first season of time, I think they can take advantage of Tift County and eke out a really close win at home. At TC Central, I'm not going into depth on that one. You know why. At Cairo lost a lot from last year. I think Bainbridge can get the job done there. Westover, they can do that. I'll skip over Peach in a second. I'll come back to them. At Monroe lost a lot. They can beat them. Darty looks lost without Cam Davis. They'll beat them as well. So it all comes down to that Peach County game. Now, once we've gone through all that, say they lose the Peach County game, they're still going to go 6-4. The difference between 6-4 and 7-3 is actually not that great. So on paper, when you look and see Bainbridge is going 7-3, that looks crazy. But then look at the schedule and tell me if you can find 5 losses for this team. I can find 4. Finding 5 would be, I'll push it a little bit. I don't know if they'll lose 5 this year. So 7-3, I think is decent. It's fair enough.
Okay. The TA wants to know which 3 or 4 teams have good or great offensive lines.
Ooh, 3 or 4 teams in what? In a
Any
class?
Are you
classification? Because
each
I can tell you
classification
there's
or
a
what you think?
lot of teams in any classification
Well,
that
how about
have.
like Langston Hughes has a great O line. I mean, look at the talent they have.
Hmm.
Like, if it's 3 to 4 in the entire state, it kind of becomes an easier choice. So
Mhm.
it depends. I actually think Buford has a really good offensive line. It's just that their offensive play calling is boring and very vanilla.
Carver
Mhm.
Columbus has a good offensive line.
They always have. I think it's like Christian Givens or something. Like
Yeah,
they
Givens
always.
and another heavy recruited offensive lineman.
If I had to put my life on any team to be consistent, it'd be Carver Columbus every single year without fail.
They are who they are.
Yep.
Okay.
I love it. It's a predictor's dream every year that the same team, no matter what. I love
And
it.
I'm gonna tell you one. I just looked at a film on them today.
Mhm.
Grayson has an
Oh
excellent
yeah.
offensive line.
Oh, definitely. Grayson got a transfer in too from like Illinois on the O line like 2 days ago. So
Mhm.
they're Grayson's a good team.
Yeah,
Defensively sound. Offensively, they have Travis Burgess, a quarterback, younger guy. Again, potential is the word you kind of get hung up with him on. So again, Grayson could be a top 5 team, and they probably are a top 5 team in 6A right now. Yep.
definitely.
He said he was speaking on the lower classes that we were, I guess the one
Oh,
we
on the lower
were discussing.
classes.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta look into that. I haven't looked at
Yeah.
offensive lines yet for lower classes, but I'm pretty sure I made a top 10 offensive line list. So let me go look.
Okay.
Lower classes. Ooh, who are these people?
Well, Dublin, the kid from Dublin, is he at Georgia this year or this is senior year?
He left this year.
Nazir, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Smaller classes don't get that much attention. Parker
Mhm.
Pritchett, I think. Parker
Mhm.
Pritchett. I think that might be Carver Columbus. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
So there are people. But I think Carver Columbus, if you really look at small teams, Carver Columbus has got it built.
Yeah.
Mhm. The next question is from Obadiah. He wants to know who do you think will win who will win Region 2 5A with TCC, Coffee, Lee, Northside, Winter Robins, Hoko, and others, and
Thomas
why?
County Central. Thomas County Central is winning that region. It's too. I mean, let's be honest. It's too risky to pick against them. Their defense is really well coached, very good talent. Offensively, they're not one of those insanely two-dimensional teams, but they're very solid at what they do. They don't make mistakes. They don't shoot themselves in the foot relentlessly like many other teams do. They just play good football, all around good football. So the biggest test for them is going to be at Lee County. It just is. Usman Kroma is an unbelievable running back. So that's their biggest test. The region champion, I think, is going to be decided in that game. Houston County, I don't see that as too much of an issue. Veterans and Northside, I'm leaving them out. I think both are wins for TC. Houston County, interesting game. But the thing is, Houston County's defense is completely gone. I think Houston County's best shot to win state was last year. So while they're good offensively, and they have Antoine Hill, who I think is okay, but not as highly rated as people think you should be. I think Houston County's defense is completely graduated. They're going to be younger. And I think for a TCC offense that's just physical, I think they will probably put 35, 40 points on them. And Houston County will be able to put up like 19 or 21. Okay. And then Coffee is that last game. Coffee's a really good team. But as people have conveniently overlooked, losing Fred Brown is a big deal. You lose 2,500 yards. That 2,500 doesn't just fall right back into your lap. A guy like him, he is a nightmare to game plan for. He is a bowling ball. When you lose a bowling ball like him, it has an effect. It's a home game for TC Central. I think they win that one.
Thank you. That's the point we've been trying to make, but I'm glad you agree.
Don't worry. It was the same point that Thompson people tried to make when Thompson won state. Oh, yeah, we can just replace everybody. No, you can't.
Yeah.
I hear this every year. I'm not falling for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lee Nicholson, what's up, friend? Go Mary Persons High School. Which leads me to this question, Drew. We had a conversation on this show a couple of weeks ago. What was it, last week? Mm-hmm. About that region with Sandy Creek and Upson Lee and
don't even get me started. Holy cow. I hate that region so much. It was a nightmare. Like, actually, it was a nightmare to pick that region because
it had to where you had Sandy Creek losing to Mary Person and Spalding.
Yeah, I really like. Look, Sandy Creek is not. I think we can all agree that there is a very low chance, under 15%, that Sandy Creek wins every single one of those games. Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
They're getting upset. Now, the
Yeah.
task is for you. Now we put you in the analytics shoes. Let's put all of you guys in the analytics shoes. We know for a fact that Sandy Creek is not going 10-0 in this schedule, right? It's littered with time bombs. Like, look at those things. Those are all like trap games.
Mhm.
It's now up to you to pick which trap games they'll win and which trap games they'll lose. Have fun.
Mhm. And so I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. And the question that we had was, especially with the playoff system the way that it is now, how many of those teams do you potentially see that could actually make the playoffs? Because there's no guarantee that 3 and 4 seeds in other regions will make the playoffs.
You're right.
so
I think it's a lot, actually. I mean, look, so Sandy Creek. I'm trying to. Does anybody know off the top of my head who I picked Sandy Creek to lose to in that region?
Spalding and Mary Person.
Spalding and Mary Persons. Thank you. So
Yep.
I look at LaGrange. So right now, trying to pick that region was a nightmare. Obviously, I did not. I think Sandy Creek could beat Upson Lee because Upson Lee was very defensive focused last year and lost a lot of that defensive production. So I think Sandy Creek took that one. I think Sandy Creek beats LaGrange as well because that's a home game. And despite LaGrange having Kalen Stringer or something his name was, I think Sandy Creek can get that job done. At Trinity Christian, Sandy Creek's too physical. I think the physicality wins. And then Fayette County, Whitewater, and Troop. Troop has lost a ton of guys. Whitewater is Whitewater, and Fayette County is Fayette County. So I think those three are safely wins. So it came down to Spalding and Mary Persons. Mary Persons is a road game. And I think for a team that's reeling after losing their running back, I mean, Duke was a great running back. Let's be honest.
my goodness.
Great.
That's in the state, you ask me.
Okay. And and now they lose him, right? So what do you do? Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, that's a late season game. I see Sandy Creek finishing off that Fayette County Whitewater game and thinking, oh, we can do this undefeated. Trap game at Mary Persons. I think they slip up. And I think that's the one they slip up, kind of like the Harris County game last year. They slipped up against Harris County. I think they slip up against Mary Persons. Spalding, again, Nick Davis, interesting hire. They went right back to where he used to coach. But man, that whole situation was crazy. But they have good talent on that team. They really do. It's just that I don't know how the coaching situation will work. I don't know if they'll be as effective as they were under the previous head coach. But I do think that Sandy Creek slips up in this game because of that talent, because of Kurt Clark, right? They lose the Henderson twins to Hapeville, but I still think Kurt Clark might be able to get that job done against Sandy Creek.
I thought Kurt Clark was a senior last year.
No, he's a junior.
So he come back his senior year this year?
I believe so.
Quarterback Kurt Clark, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Somebody check that for me Thursday. I think Kurt Clark was a senior.
Wait, let me check. Kurt Clark.
While y'all are doing that, Mr.
From what school?
Kurt Clark from Spalding. He is class of 2020. Oh, did he reclassify?
Not sure, but I thought that was his senior year. We was actually looking to help.
Yeah, it says it's his senior year, but then online in another site it says he's a junior.
Yeah, we was looking to help with some recruiting on him, so I knew
we didn't understand why he was not getting recruited.
Yes,
because
he's good. He's actually pretty good.
Yes.
So I thought he was a senior.
He is a senior. My mistake. But I think even regardless of that, I think Spalding's a decent enough team to pull off an upset. Clark without Kurt Clark.
I mean, let's be honest. Spalding is another team where you think about the county of Spalding and the city of Griffin has produced more NFL players out of the state of Georgia than anybody, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe y'all can fact check me on that. Yeah. So you always have had a great pick of talent from that area. So Spalding gonna have athletes. They're gonna be okay. They're gonna play hard. It's just at this point, looking at a watered down 3A, Drew, I think Sandy Creek may be the best team on paper right now.
Oh, definitely. Nobody's arguing with that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So I just, it's just hard, and I can understand, especially when you put it like you did, coming into some trap games, especially playing in Forsyth. But it's kind of hard to win there at Dan Pierce Stadium.
Sandy Creek's still going to win that region. I hope you know that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I can see 6 legit teams
having an opportunity to make the playoffs from that
Oh
region.
yeah, that's crazy to say, isn't it? Like crazy to think about. I actually like this system more than I do. Well, not like it more. Actually, yeah, no, I do like it more than the previous system because the previous system, it just rewarded bad. Like if you're a bad region, you could just sleep the entirety of the region schedule and still get in the playoffs.
I made an example. I made an
like the
example
system
of the
more.
Augusta region from last year where you had teams that was 3-7 and won one region game and they made the
Yeah,
playoffs.
we don't want that. We want
Yeah.
actual teams that deserve to be in it. So I like to see. I think like 3 years ago, I proposed a system of like power ranking system. And so they kind of seem to taken on that kind of personality in the lower classes, you know, the ranking, the power ranking. They did opponents win percentage, which is not the best way to do it. But honestly, I don't mind it because it's going to make for a very interesting bracket. You're going to have a team that's number one, that's probably theoretically worse than a team ranked third in the bracket, but you never know. It just makes for a March Madness style upset mania, which I love.
Yeah. Let me okay. Oh yeah, you going there. I was just gonna read some more comments, but if y'all still
Yeah,
on
no, go ahead. Actually, I want to hear more.
Mr. Fletcher, welcome to the podcast. His question is Tombs versus Rome. Honest prediction.
All about 30.
I have. So Rome's defense is nothing to play with. Toombs County is a good team offensively. I think Toombs will score like 14, maybe. And I think Rome will put up like 44, 45. I'll get my actual predictions ready the week of the game. But like preliminary predictions, 40, 45, 38, 45, 14, something like that.
I got a 30-point win.
Yeah, sounds
And
about
it's
right.
nothing against Toombs. Toombs will be a good team. It's just you're outmatched in that classification. That's a classification, and you're not sleeping on the middle of that classification or the bottom of you. You're dealing with one of the top teams in 5A. So
man, depth gonna be the main. Depth is gonna be the problem. Say what you want to say.
Well, when you
That's
look at
the
the
issue.
Thomas County Central and the wrong game last year, a slugfest. Two defenses playing. I think Thomas County Central created some turnovers that gave them the advantage in that game. Rome didn't lose most of that production on that defense.
No, I'm with you on that, but no, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing what the team is gonna bring to the table at the end of the day. Rome just gonna have more depth than Toombs.
Even if
I
they
know what you're saying.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just gonna come down to depth, and they're gonna have fresher legs, fresher players to put in when Toombs ain't. At the end of the day,
resources. I mean, Rome has a ton more resources and all that. Toombs is just going to be overmatched. It's your classic case of just a higher classification team beating a lower classification team. It's nothing against Rome. It's nothing against Toombs County. It's just how it is, right? Toombs County can still win state after that. It means this game actually means nothing. Like I'll be completely honest, this game has zero effect on either team's season.
I want to know who in Vidalia knows somebody in Rome that said, "Hey, let's play."
Jed, did what you need to be saying. Why Toombs going up there messing with them folks?
Bothering them people.
They ain't got no
messing with other teams.
Yeah, just go over to Shorter College and see if you can get your kid over to Shorter and Berry. See if you can get your kids looked at and all of that. But don't go out there bothering people you ain't got no business bothering, man.
Yeah, no business.
Maybe it's like a personal connection. I have no idea.
It has to be, and it's not as bad though as that Lee County, Crawford County thing. So, but yeah, Toombs County. I think y'all are a great school. A matter of fact, I just left Vidalia today. Shout out.
Toombs is good. I like Toombs. Whatever coach is doing up there, I forgot his last name. I think it's Buddy something. Buddy Martin, Coach Martin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever he's doing, it's working. I mean, that's a great team, great program. And I think from what I see, it looks like they did it the right way in terms of playing games. It's hard to predict. Now I look back, I've actually been looking back at this team. I look back and I say like, oh, I should have seen this coming. But like you look in 2022, they lost at home versus Appling County by 13 and then almost beat Pierce County. They lost by 3. So you could see it coming. I wasn't ready to like pull the trigger on it, but then Coach Martin got here after a stumble against Long County and Amari Douglas. They kind of took over with that defense, of course, defensively centric team.
So David
And
just has a general question. Go ahead.
no, go
brother.
ahead, man. Go ahead.
He just, I guess when y'all were talking about transfers, he has a question. He said, "I thought transfers had to sit out a year
No,
if they transfer."
no.
Where that come from?
That ultimately died when Jake Garcia moved to Grayson and Valdosta.
Grayson from Valdosta. The bona fide move
I
came
still
about.
hold that as the biggest joke in a long time. That was a joke. I have zero remorse. I knew he would not turn out to be like a great passer, a great quarterback. Well, shocker. No, they don't have to sit out a year. They don't have to do any of that. Now you can transfer in mid-season like that dude, whatever Jake Garcia did, and just play. Right? But you gotta be careful though.
Yeah, not just him. Last year you had Jones County quarterback transferred to Warner Robins and played Jones County the next week.
Yeah,
Right?
that's wild. I could not imagine doing anything like that. Right.
Yeah.
And that does speak a lot to, how they'll play in the future as well. I can't think of many players who do something like that and end up being great in college football. I'll be honest.
I agree.
Well, let me say hello to Mr. Henderson. How are you? He's the Carver Tiger. I don't know what ODH Tiger means, but there's something with
on the hill. I don't know. I think so.
I don't know. But clearly it's a Carver Columbus thing. Oscar says they also have he's from Carver, Columbus. He says they have a highly recruited sophomore on the line that started at right tackle last year for them too. When y'all were talking about how good their offensive line is.
Oh, they're loaded. Whew.
Yes. And so here we go. Hey, Mr. Johnson. I knew he wasn't going to like this. Now, Mr. Johnson is a huge Coffee County fan.
Yeah,
and basically what
no, you're not. You're not winning this. I'm sorry. I mean, do we want to be realistic, or do you want me to I can be really nice, or I can just be like upfront with you. You're not winning it again. Look at how much it took Coffee to win. We have years of 10 and 9 win games. I don't need to read it. Actually, I will read it. 2022, 10. 2021, 8, then 10, then 9, then 9, then 10, then 7, then 10, then 10. This is just back-to-back seasons of 9 and 10 win seasons, but they haven't been able to punch through, get to the top. They did it this past year because of that defense and because of Fred Brown. You don't have a lot of those people on defense anymore, and you don't have Fred Brown. It's going to go back to being a 7-win team, an 8-win team. That's just how it is.
He said they have 4 more backs, and they're in a very tough region too. So you can
quality, not quantity.
You can add all 4 of those backs. And here's the thing: I'm going to be honest. I started this when we started back up during the spring, Drew. I said Coffee 4th. I said TCC, Lee County, Hoko, and Coffee. Now I since have learned some things about Hoko, which made me change my stance, and I apologize to the Coffee people. They'll be 3rd. But you're not beating Thomas County Central. You're not beating Lee County. Let's just go ahead and get that out. You're not.
It's mismatches all over the field. It's not going to happen. I mean, they could pull off one of those things as like an upset, right? I could definitely see an upset happen because upsets do happen in football. That's how it works. But this, I have them going 7-3. I don't think this is a team that's going to win again. They're not. They just don't have things. And people can say, you said this last year. Yeah, you're right. I did. But people said the same thing about Ware County. How did Ware County do last year, right? So you can play both sides of this. I'll just say, come back to this at the end of the season and we'll talk about it, because Coffee's not winning state again. You can quote me on that. I don't care. I've been right many times, been wrong many times. It's not going to make an effect. But Coffee's not winning state again.
He says
they're good, but they're not winning state.
He said that they're deep, and so it's one of those things where it's just gotta present itself on the field, and that's that on that.
I have Coffee versus Ware circled. Early season game. Somebody in the comments said I was sounding like I was waiting on Coffee fans. I'm not waiting on anything. I'm waiting on Creekside fans.
Yeah. Kia. Oh yeah. That's what. Because I was trying to figure out who is they. So he's talking about Toombs County as another Creekside. Yeah. That. What do you think about that, Drew?
About
Creekside
what?
going to play DeSoto.
Yeah. We talked about it before the show started. I think it's a dumb move. I think it really is a dumb move. I get the point of trying to challenge your players. I get that. But you can do that within the state. When you want to represent the state of Georgia as a whole, you want to make sure you have a good team that's one of the best in their state. And when you go challenge the best at another state, a state like Texas, when you go challenge Texas's best, you call them out. You need to be able to put a team that you think you can match up to that. Last year was the chance to do that. Instead, you pick Mater Dei and you get slapped by Mater Dei all over the field. And I had somebody trying to tell me, oh, it's because our QB went down in the first quarter. I don't care. QB, you could have had Dylan Raiola playing QB. You weren't gonna beat Mater Dei. It just doesn't work like that. So I don't like this. I just don't like it. I don't think it's a great idea. There's a difference between challenging your players and then just straight up getting smacked to the point where they feel not motivated enough. But hey, it worked last year. Maybe it'll work again this year. I don't think it will because this is a different team. But I think Creekside got a little high off the win over East St. Louis 2 years ago. So they started scheduling teams like them. They graduated to Mater Dei, took them on, rightfully so. Mater Dei crushed them, and now they're taking on DeSoto. I don't think they should have gone after them. I think there's better ways to challenge yourself, especially in this state. Why not take on a team like Carrollton? Why not take on a team like Milton? These teams are close by, and I think it works.
So let me ask you: does Creekside take a step back this year as well, or no?
Yeah,
No, Creekside would be good in their respective classification, but again, they got no freaking business going out there to Texas.
Yeah, no. Mr. Fletcher from Toombs County says nobody wanted to play them. That's why they had to. That's why they had to get.
Nobody wanted to play. I
Hey,
find that
everybody
hard
say
to believe.
that.
I'm just gonna call. Hey, I'm gonna call BS on that. All you had to do was call Ellenwood.
He said
somebody would have been able to play them. I get the look. I like people are saying like it's about kids for tough situations. I agree, but there's other ways to do that doesn't involve spending that much time and resources. You can do that within the state of Georgia. I guarantee you that there's at least one top 15 team in the state that is willing to play you. And if you can find me receipts that they contacted every single one of those top 20 teams in the state and they all said no, then I'll believe you. Then I'll say it's okay. But if you're going to try 4 teams and say, oh, well, all 4 said no, guess we should just go after the best team in the country right now, or a top 10 team in the country right now, I wouldn't do it. If it works out for them, great. You know what? I'm happy for them. If they pull off that upset, it's a massive win for the state of Georgia. It's huge. But the risks, I don't think is worth it, to be honest. Because we heard how many people talked about Georgia after the beating they took against Mater Dei, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Georgia has no business competing. This was supposed to be one of the better teams. This team made state in their classification, and yet they lost to Mater Dei. We don't want to hear that again. We know we're a good state at football, right? Why do we need to have any situations where somebody goes out and proves that's wrong? Right, so that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm with you. Not Mr. Fletcher. I know you're not Vidalia, but Vidalia. I was in Toombs County. Vidalia is in Toombs County. Lyons is in Toombs County. That's why I said I was in Toombs County. I was not giving a shout out to Vidalia High School, and I guarantee you, Mr. Fletcher, you might not like Vidalia, but when you go to town, where do you go? Okay, that's all I'm going to say. How you doing, Mr. How you doing, Mr. Sloan? That's our Cairo syrup maker checking in. Let's see. Chris said, Mr. Pace, how you doing, Chris? And how you doing, Collins? All my Coffee County fans, they're a tad bit offended. They Mr. Johnson, Mr. Powell Collins, he said they're returning 3 of the top 4 tacklers from last year. Y'all, we don't know what's coming.
Which school? Coffee?
Yeah, Coffee. And Mr. Pace, how you doing, Chris? He said, y'all know, Mr. Pace, y'all don't stay on the bus. Listen, I told y'all if people are wrong, it just makes it that much sweeter when you prove them wrong, right?
Well, okay, wait. I have a question about returning the top three of the top 4 tacklers for Coffee. The way I see it, 2 of the top 4 are gone. Your leading tackle TFL guy is gone. Your second leading TFL guy is also gone. Your second leading TFL guy is also gone. Your top 2 sack leaders are gone. 2 of your secondary members are gone. That's 4 picks accounted for. So, and then you look at the offensive side of the ball and you lose your quarterback who threw 16 TDs to 2 picks. He is gone. Then you lose your running back who rushed for 2,500 yards and 25 scores. He's
you could have just led with that. You could have just led with that because that's all that matter right there.
Right. Look, I'm not making. Look, a lot of people think I'm just making this up. I'm looking at these stats as I talk about it. You'll see if Coffee can have 6 backs coming back. They can have Hansley back. They can have Ross. They can have Preston Adams. I don't care. It's not about, you can't have 4 running backs on the field at once, can you? You can only have 1, maybe 2. All right? So unless that back is, you want quality, not quantity. If that back is as good as Fred Brown, he'll show it, and Coffee will win state. I am willing to bet that he won't. I'm willing to bet that the offense won't find a passer as great as Hansley was. I think Trey Ross could actually be a really good passer. I think he has potential, really good potential. But the thing is, he can't get them to state on his own. It's just not going to happen. Coffee should be another 10-win team. Once the playoffs finish and all that, they should end up being another 10, 11-win team, 9-win team. That's what I expect. We'll see. We'll come back to this. Look, I'll be back.
Preach.
Well, like I've said on several times when we talked about Curry from over at Toon, Thompson, and we talked about the Melo. Here's my thing: if you had a back just as good, if not better, than Fred Brown, he and Fred Brown would have been on the field together or sharing some time or something. You're not finna sit that kind of talent of another back like Fred Brown. You're not finna sit him down and not let him get any touches also, if he's just as good, if not better, than Fred Brown. So I don't think you got another Fred Brown in the stable. I don't think you got another Curry in the stable, another DeMelo Jones in the stable, because they would have showed that last year. You don't have one stud on the field. Baby, you can play devil's advocate all you want, but it still don't take away from the truth. And here's the thing. Let's be honest. I pulled for Coffee last year. I said, this is Coffee year.
I wanted Coffee to win state because of the defense, right? Because I think Fred Brown was great to watch, but like I don't pick teams to support. I don't support teams at all. I hate it. I don't like supporting teams because at the end of the day, their fans all love to backstab you. It doesn't matter which team they come from. So I don't support any team. But one of the teams I really loved to watch was that Coffee defense because of how good they were. I would tune into games on Friday night when I should go be hanging out with friends just to watch that Coffee defense. But I'm also going to call it both ways. I love watching that defense play. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to return all that production or some of that production, and you're not going to return your running back and quarterback, I'm going to call it how it is. There's no favoritism. There's no benefits for any team. You don't get any like handouts.
Okay.
Bro, Drew coming out here preaching tonight. I like this.
Fired up. That's it. It's been a while since.
You know what? I think this comment from Chris Pace is true.
It's that y'all.
Bulletin board material. I love it.
How you doing, Mr. Rich? Erwin is in the house, and make sure you come back next week too, Mr. Rich. We will be talking about 1 Division 2 and our private school poll. So you make sure you come back next week. How you doing, Mr. Dupree? Welcome. That's a sidebar conversation with Obadiah and Mr. Johnson. Y'all go ahead and do that. What's going on, Mr. Combs? O'Neill. So O'Neill is from Ware County, Drew.
Ware County is a good team. I think a lot of people. So Ware County, I had them going 10-0. Thing is, I'll say it right now. I'm not quite sure they will go 10-0. It's just that I looked at that schedule and I was just making picks, and it ended up working out to 10-0. Do I think they're quality of a pure 10-0 team? No. But I think they'll still be a good team. They return a lot. I think the Ware versus Coffee game is going to tell us a lot. Ware is a good team. I don't know if they're ascended to the top level like they were 2 years ago. I don't think they are right now, but jury is kind of a little bit still out on Ware County. Again, I had them going 10-0. They strike me as more of like an 8-2, 9-1 team. But with that schedule, it's quite favorable if you actually think about it, because, I mean, you got Appling away, which is fine. Coffee away, which Coffee's coming off all those losses. It still should be a great game. You get Bainbridge at home. You get Bartram Trail at home. You get Benedictine at home. You get Warner Robins at home. You got to go to a Perry team that's one-dimensional, and you got to play New Hampstead neutrally. So it's actually a pretty favorable schedule, which is why I had them going 10-0. But do I think they're the quality of a pure 10-0 team? Not really.
Gotcha. So do you see that Ware Benedictine game as a trap game for Benedictine, or
I don't see it as a trap game. I just see it as a good game.
Okay.
I don't think Benedictine is going to overlook them. Trap games happen when you overlook a team. I don't think Benedictine has any business overlooking them, and they won't because of how good the game has been the past few years. So I think it's just going to be a straight up solid football game. And I think the fact that it's at Ware has played a big role in it. I look at the all-time series between Benedictine and Ware. It's 2-2. It really is just 2-2. They both won 2, lost 2. But both the wins, all 4 wins, have come when the home team was at home. When a team was at home, the home team has always won.
Okay. So who do you have winning that region then? Do you have Ware
Ware
winning?
County. They're 10-0. So I
So
have
you
Ware
got
County.
Ware winning it. Okay. Benedictine number 2 or
Yeah, Benedictine in second, and then I think I had Warner Robins in third and Perry in fourth, or maybe New Hampstead pull off an upset somewhere in there.
Okay, so Wayne County and possibly New Hampstead or somebody.
I think New Hampstead has the weapons necessary to pull off an upset. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, quarterback and receiver is stupid over there down there in Pooler, Georgia.
They're pretty good.
Let's see. I don't. Is that what? It's kind of a compliment, I think. How you doing, Mr. Bartlett?
A Skip Bayless. Yeah, I get. I've gotten all the. I've gotten all the ones. I've heard I'm Skip Bayless. I'm Stephen A. Smith. I've heard I'm Reese Davis. I've heard I'm Pat McAfee. I think I've heard pretty much everything. So I don't know. I could just be everything, Arca. I could just be me. I have no idea at this point.
As long as they don't call you Jason McIntyre, I don't be offended. Because I don't know what it is.
As long as nobody calls me Paul Feinbaum or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Strony Nick, whatever that woman called in from Alabama and called Paul Feinbaum all kind of names, boy.
I've been an Auburn fan.
Oh, stupid.
Mr. Dupree, welcome. He says Creekside wants all the competition to.
I think that's smart.
Hey, well, Creekside just get back. Stop bothering people that you ain't got no business bothering Creekside.
Creekside's gonna be fine. They just don't need to go out of their way to do all that stuff. They'll still be a decent team. I mean, a good, solid team. I just don't think they need to go and bother all these teams. Like, what are you trying to prove? Like, actually, what are you trying to prove?
Nothing. Mr. Dupree, can I say this? You say you can't get mad at the coach for preparing his kids for the state. That's why you challenge other people outside the state. And I get that. But I've said this before, Mr. Dupree, it is a difference between building confidence in your team and demoralizing your team. I'm thinking about these Texas teams, and I'm thinking about these. I just think about these big old giants that can run 100 miles per hour, and just I don't know that that's a good idea. But hey, if it gets you back to the state championship game,
then do all it takes. If it works again and they go back to state, I won't ever say a word about them again. If they go back to state, if they can do that,
I'll just say this. At least be the top team in your state.
Exactly.
You're not even the top team in the highest classification in the state of Georgia. You don't have that kind of power to say, I want to step out and get my kids prepared. You can do that by playing some of the top teams in the state of Georgia who can be just as good as your Mater Days and your DeSoto. Like Drew gave an example. Look, Milton.
Play Carrollton. They have
play Carrollton. Play Pinkford. Play Douglas County this year. Play those type of
things. Play Douglas County. Oh my God. Douglas County Buford's going to be a show.
Mm-hmm.
Great offense versus great defense. Immovable force versus unstoppable object.
Yes. How you doing, Mr. Mapp? Greene County checking in. I expect good things. I expect good things from Greene County this year.
You too.
How you doing, Mr. Reiner? Checking in from Toombs County. Mr. Farley says everybody's waiting on November. Thomas County Central versus Coffee. Why would you send your fan base to our stadium just to get embarrassed? I don't understand that, but hey, okay. I didn't get that. I should have known you were gonna throw some shade. Okay, Mr. Shields wants to know, Drew, how do you feel about the Newton Rams?
All right, Newton. So actually, Newton's a very underrated team. I love the fact that their offense does not turn the ball over that much. I also love their running back, Zion Johnson. That dude is fast. There are people that are fast on the track, and then there are people that are fast in football. This guy is fast in football. On the field, this dude runs away from everybody. Now, here is my hot take. Very hot take. You can call me stupid. Go for it. Newton has a really good chance to upset Douglas County. They really do. Newton, if I'm Douglas County, I do not overlook Newton at all. Not one bit do I overlook Newton. Newton, the reason is, look at the teams that have beaten or have hung close with Douglas County. What they do well is they run the ball. Douglas County has talent on defense, but they don't necessarily produce to the level they're supposed to. You got a 5-star Jordan Carter for the sake of being a 5-star. He in reality is like a mid 4-star, but it doesn't matter because he's an edge rusher. You got to run right up the middle. I think that Douglas County's weakness is their run defense. Okay. I think it was the Langston running back ran for like 200 on them or something. So Justice Savage, I think was his name. So Newton has a fast running back, a QB, Darren Benson, that does not turn the ball over, right? I think this is a good way for Newton to possibly rack up 31, 34 points, and the secondary have a decent enough day to hold, Douglas County to 31 points, which to many other teams would be a death sentence, but to a team that could run the ball so efficiently and not turn it over, I think Newton actually has a decent chance to pull off the upset. I think it'll be a better game than people will think it'll be. I still pick Douglas County to win that game. I'm not risking all that on that pick because you got to be smart when you're picking. But really, if you look at that matchup more, I seriously think Newton has a chance to beat Douglas County.
Okay.
Newton has been my sleeper pick. My daughter graduated from Newton County last year, and I know about the grave diggers. And I know Newton's going to be a pretty good team. Again, they do have arguably one of the top 5 backs in the state this year. So
And
with that combination,
I'll tell you this about Newton. They are a very weird team in the sense that every year, no matter what their record, they always pull off an upset. 2020, they upset Brookwood. 2021, they upset McEachern. 2022, they upset Parkview. 2023, they upset Grayson. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, hey, there's a chance.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Odoms is here. How you doing, Tick? Mr. Odoms is repping Northeast, the Northeast Raiders. What do you think about them, Drew?
Love it. It's sad to see Woodford go down with that injury last year. Very excited for his return. I think it's his junior year, I think, either junior or senior, one of the two.
This is his senior year, yeah.
This is his senior year? Okay. I cannot wait to see what he puts on the field. Really, really can't wait to see what he puts on the field. He's a great running back. It was so much promise. I hope that injury didn't slow him down at all. So we'll see.
Okay, Mr. Powell. I mean, and we won't rehash Coffee County anymore. But he's saying that that they did have a running back, but because of trouble, he was unable to play. But he'll be back this year, and we will all be interested in seeing what he does.
I don't doubt that the kid may be good. I'm not taking that away from him. He couldn't play last year, but he's not Fred Brown. Like I said, I'll take it in consideration. I'll tell you this. Again, I'm a Peach County fan, but I know a little bit about Perry. Perry has a great running back in Amar Gordon. When I tell you great, I mean great. Top 5 in the state again. They have a back behind him. Father listened to our show, DeCorian Daniels. Great back. But let me tell you something. When Amar Gordon graduates next year, Perry's going to take a step back in the run game. I don't care how good Corey and Daniels are, but you're not going to replace a talent like Amar Gordon just by saying, oh, we got another back. That every fan think that. Every fan think you got a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver, a defensive lineman, a linebacker, whatever the case may be, who is just as good, if not better, than a stud that you had on the team. And it's not always the case.
Okay, Chris says Fred only scored once in the championship game.
Okay, look, even before we get into that, just my quick thought on Coffee. Okay. Whoever that offensive coordinator is, love that guy. Love it. The play calling in that game was phenomenal. Like top tier phenomenal. Like I did not see a better called game offensively from any other team in the state championship. Sure, Fred Brown didn't score. I agree with you. Did you ever think that Creekside was keying in on that, which made it so easy for the quarterback to throw right over their heads for a touchdown every time? That's part of the genius offensive play calling that happened that night. Go and rewatch, like genuinely, if you love football, go and rewatch that game. It was amazing. They're putting up, like, they're leaking guys out. They're running these great concepts that's getting the receivers one-on-one with the defenders. And he's got to strike like a step or two, because obviously the cornerback doesn't know what's happening. The receiver does. And it's working every time. What they did is they preyed on the fact that Creekside and their magnificent front seven would key in on stopping Fred Brown. So what they did is they just worked guys right behind him. I think one of them was like a route down the sideline to the corner of the end zone. It worked perfectly. I love that play calling. I mean, I haven't seen play calling like that from Coffee in a long time.
And just to add on to what you're saying, great call. But I got to shout out Eric Dvorsny, because that's the same thing happened. I think Perry was keying in on Brown from Stockbridge, and Stockbridge was keying in on Goont running the ball, and you had Colt again that had a field day putting the ball down the field because you stacking the box worried about Goont. Now, don't get me wrong, Goont had 3 rushing touchdowns, but if you look, it was all short yardage.
Mm-hmm.
So that was some great offensive plan calling from Eric Dvorsny, offensive coordinator for Perry, the same way it was with Coffee County. So don't take Fred Brown only scoring once in that championship game and say he wasn't that guy for you all. Without Fred Brown, you don't even make that championship game.
Correct. And look, the Fred Brown experience was great. The reason Fred Brown was successful is because when they played teams that couldn't handle that O-line and that running game, they could literally just pound it down their throat and nothing would, like, you couldn't stop it. Like, literally, you just run him and Mike Coe could go and sleep. Like, he could literally just go put a pillow on the sideline and take a nap, because with the way that defense was playing and with how unstoppable the rushing game was, anything could be done. However, when you get to a state championship game or a state semifinal game, you start to realize that, hey, not these teams are good enough. They're very good. They made it this far for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. So they're gonna key in on this Fred Brown guy, and we know that because they see this guy has 2,488 yards all year or whatever the amount was, right? We're going to stop him, right? Yeah, you leak a guy out of the backfield, and they're screwed. Creekside was playing man the entire game. They tried their entire best to stop Fred Brown, and they got cooked doing it. Cooked.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Reiner, we're not going. We answered this question earlier, but I will say, with regard to the Toombs County prediction, they'll win region, and we think they're very good. They'll get beat to sleep by Rome. They'll win their region and possibly play for the state championship. They have a very good chance of doing that. But if you want to hear like a more in-depth discussion of Toombs County, once this is over, you can go back and you can listen to the entire podcast, and you'll get a lot of information. We talked a lot about Toombs County. So, let's see, Ware County versus Warner Robins is. I think it's a toss-up too, Mr. Nicholson. Let's see, Mr. Taller. I'm just kind of skimming through, and then I'm gonna, Drew can get in where he fits in. Mr. Robert, how you doing? He said, watching out for Peach County Trojans in 2024 and Coach Westbrook. Yep. Mr. Coker says Wayne is not upsetting Ware County. How you doing, Mr. Coker? And welcome.
I agree.
Okay, Chris is who's Creekside. Mr. Lane, we talked about. What?
I'm sorry, babe. I got a question. It's in the comments on down, but I just had a text message. Drew, the Perry guys want to know who are some players from Benedictine.
I was just about to get to that actually.
So, all right, the big hyped guy from Benedictine, the big hyped guy is the new quarterback, Stephen Cannon. And so he's touted as this disciple of Luke Croman-Hoke, or, the former quarterback. And people are saying the Stephen Cannon guy will be pretty good. So I'd keep an eye on him. Obviously, he's the quarterback. You're supposed to keep an eye on him. But if we're looking at other guys beside that, here, let me.
They got one of the best wide receivers in the state.
Yeah. So Bubba Frazier, guy you got to watch out for. He's going to be the go-to target all year, and probably more so because the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receivers after that have all graduated. So I would not be surprised if Bubba Frazier threat over 1,000 yards receiving. He's also one of those more dynamic guys. They used him in the rush game a little bit more as well. And I'd also be worried about on defense. You got a trio that I really think you should worry about. It's Third Scroggins, Herbert. His nickname is Third Scroggins, Cameron Cody, and Larson Little. So that Little had 100 tackles last year. Herbert had 10 TFLs, and so did Cody. And Herbert had 84 tackles. Cody had 80. So this is all in the front seven, and that's something to really watch for. So Benedictine could really start to get some pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and they're also pretty fit in the run game as well. That third and Cody combined for 20 sacks as well and 26 hurries.
Shout out Herbie Scroggins, man. His dad is actually a long-time listener of our show, man. And
he's a great player. I'm very excited.
He's is he a Miami commit now, babe?
I think so. I was hoping he committed to Tech, but he didn't.
Yeah, I think he's a Miami commit on that Benedictine offensive line, playing DN if I'm not mistaken, or a linebacker. But he and they do have some defensive guys coming back. We did watch them and rank them accordingly in our polls. So again, I don't think Ware will have enough. I know the quarterback has a year under his belt, and he'll be a lot stronger. They return a pretty good running back down in Ware County. But again, I know that home thing has been the way it's been going, but I think Benedict has a little too much for Ware County. Also, I think Benedictine at worst is 9-1, depends on the Buford game. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Benedictine run the table and go 10-0, win in that region.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised either. But I think the one thing is, it's for the Ware County game, it's all going to come down to that receiving core for Ware County. If those receivers can find holes, it's going to be a long day for Benedictine. Benedictine last year, we saw that. We saw that against New Hampstead. New Hampstead absolutely torched them, left, right, and center, handing them all game long. So if Ware County they need to have a good offensive game plan to throw the ball, right? Because if you throw the ball enough, you can actually open up holes for the running game and for a back like Dennis, who's extremely fast, or was it Boyd? One of the two. I think it's Boyd who's coming back. Super fast, right? He's a speed back. If he's on open field, good luck catching him. So I think Ware has an advantage that they could use. It just comes down to, will they actually use that advantage? Will they make good use of it?
Okay, babe. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You can get back to your comments. I didn't mean to. I didn't know you was getting the e-gear. He just sent me the text, so I just addressed it.
Let's see. I don't see any other questions. Mr. Lane said, I see you got my Hornets going 4-6. We're gonna prove you wrong. We talked about that a little earlier, Mr. Lane, but basically what they said was Cook County is a good team with a brutal schedule. And although you might go 4-6, we could possibly see you going far in the playoffs. Tick says there are better ways of preparing for the state than getting baptized in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. Yes, I agree with that. Let's see. No problem, Mr. Reiner, and we have no problem with you asking questions. We are so glad that y'all took the time out to come out and listen to us talk football today. We appreciate it. Mr. Garrett, I'm just trying to get people that I haven't seen today. Mr. Garrett, welcome to our podcast. It says it's going to be a great year for Toombs County. I look forward to hearing about you guys. Chris says he's not saying that Fred Brown wasn't a key. It was just that when we got to the finals, coaching made the difference, and Fred still had 100+ yards. That's what he was saying, guys.
Yep.
Let's see. Mr. Ryder said he just found out about us at the end of last year. He enjoys us. Well, we certainly appreciate you, sir.
Appreciate you, Mr. Reiner. Don't make this the last time. Football kickoff this week. So we'll be doing this every Wednesday as of the 19th, if I'm not correct, babe. We'll be going Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
So y'all make sure, and Fridays is our say it with your chest. Drew, I know you'll be prepping for Tech games on Saturday. But no, I don't want you on. I don't want you on here on Friday nights, Drew.
Oh,
You
I
don't.
won't be able to make it. I have practice.
Good. That's what I'm saying. I know you'll be. I said I know you'll be prepping
It's
for the Saturday, but yeah, I don't need you here in my mouth. I want you to keep your impression of me.
Oh,
So
don't worry. I'll be here on some select Wednesdays, but yeah, Fridays are going to be really rough with the way high school football is working out as well. Maybe
yeah,
go
but
to a few games here and there, which would be fun.
but yeah, say it with your chest. Fridays gets a little rough. You know, my brothers, they don't know how to talk to people, and they just get a little crazy on
it's definitely
Friday.
not. It's definitely not her brothers. It's only the sisters. Her and our other sister, Drew. You're a little too sensitive. You are just a little baby in college, so you don't need to hear the type of stuff they say.
I'll be you'd be surprised how much I get each day just for predictions. So I think
Mhm.
I've heard it all.
Yeah, they're a little tough, but we're not talking
Yeah.
about.
Oh, tough is an understatement. I've been called things I don't think you ever want to be called.
All right, Mr. Killebrew. Now that's one team we hadn't heard about really quick. Grayson. How you think? What do you think about Grayson this year? And welcome, Mr. Killebrew. Welcome to the podcast. What do you
I
think about Grayson this year?
I like Grayson. I'll be honest.
He's
Spotlight's kind of been it's odd. It's a really odd thing, but like Grayson used to have like that number one spotlight on them like every year. But if you look at it last year, the spotlight really wasn't on them, and it was on Walton instead, and Walton and Milton, all these high flying teams, right? And Buford. But now I think Grayson, what they're doing right. So people were wondering after Adam Carter left what the hire was going to be, and Santavius Bryant got picked, and a lot of people told me that I still have the receipts from this, by the way. A lot of people told me that it's not a great hire, but I looked at that and I said that's a good hire. That's a really good hire. I think he's a good coach. Like I actually do. He's a younger guy. I think he relates more with the players, but he's tough on him. He'll make him good. And one thing Grayson hasn't lost is that physicality. And I think that's what's going to make Grayson very dangerous. And yeah, do I think they could make a run at the state title this year? Yeah, because they have all the pieces you need to make a title run. People, for some reason, aren't as talkative on them as they have been in, the 2020, 2019, 2018, that era. I mean, it looks like it's about due for Grayson to win another state championship. 2024. It was 4 years from 2016 to 2020 when they won. It'll be 4 years from 2020 to now. They play a lot of good teams as well. I think that Thompson game is going to be key. If they can win that game, that shows a lot on the national stage. That Thompson is a team that's heavily recognized. Trent Seaborn, the quarterback, a young kid. But if Grayson can go in there, show their physicality, that sets a great precedent for the future. I don't think they're going to get upset in region play this year, especially not by Newton after what happened last year. But I think Grayson wins games with their defense, and they will not. My bold prediction is that they'll knock off either Carrollton or Douglas County in the playoffs with that defense.
whoa.
Ooh, okay. Let me tell you, my nephew's here. Hey, what's going on, Marquise? I'm glad you could make it to the podcast. Sending a special prayer out for Marquise. He had a loss this week, so we're sending extra prayers from Mr. Myrick.
Praying for you, Mr. Myrick.
Oscar, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. That's untrue. Don't say that. I'm sweet and innocent. Let's not go there. Don't make me cuss you out now. Moore says Grayson won't win the region because Newton County will win the region. Oh, Mr. Talent, here you go.
What about?
What
I think we should
about
talk
City
about that.
Grove?
I think we should talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about
I think
it.
we should
If
talk
that's
about
what you want to do,
All right.
Drew, the
Cedar
world is
Grove.
yours.
All right. I think, look, Cedar Grove, they lost a lot of guys to graduation, to transfer, whatever you call it. They lost a lot of guys. I think Kendrick Collier, I think he was a great. I think Stockbridge made a pretty good hire with that. I thought that Cedar Grove would hire Collier as their head coach. From what I talked to him, he seemed like a pretty cool dude. A guy that loves his players a lot. And could make something happen. So I'm glad that Stockbridge took a chance on him. And obviously, Bo Walker decided he felt the same and transferred.
Can't
But
play though.
I think Cedar Grove takes a step back this year. They might still end up with a 5-5 record because they don't play as hard of a schedule this year as last year. But I think they got worse a little bit as a team. And of course, we have a Cedar Grove expert here. But from from what I see, I think the key to Cedar Grove being good this year is the trenches on both sides of the ball. I think
True.
if Cedar Grove can match that physicality that teams like Stevenson can bring, because Stevenson, for example, plays nasty in the sense that they don't want to win a game 42-40. They want to win a game 21-19 or 23-22. Right. So I think for Cedar Grove to hold their own in that game, they still have talent. Don't get me wrong, but that talent needs to start to work. It needs to work more than the talent did from last year. Right. Because there's different circumstances. So I think it comes down to Cedar Grove being good in the trenches that kind of will decide how the season goes. Do I think they're state caliber or state championship caliber? I don't at this time. I really don't. But I think Cedar Grove's, I hope they don't fall off into obscurity. But I think they'll be decent.
I'm kidding. Okay, so yeah, this is what I want to ask you, Drew. This is what I ask you, Drew. So do you still see Cedar Grove winning the region, or do you see Stevenson beating Cedar Grove? And do you see a possibility that Frederick Douglass can beat Cedar Grove?
So yes, Douglas and Stevenson can beat Cedar Grove. They can. Thing is, when I made my predictions, I picked Cedar Grove to beat Douglas, and I picked Stevenson to beat Cedar Grove. Now, the reason behind that thinking was I find it a little hard to believe that Cedar Grove will win both of those games because apparently Douglas is on the rise, and I can see it, but I think Stevenson is more physical. I think Cedar Grove is more physical than Douglas, and Stevenson is more physical than Cedar Grove. So I think Stevenson might be able to get the job done because they have experience doing things like this, but I think Cedar Grove handles Douglas enough because I think Cedar Grove will be able to run the ball well. I think Douglas could use just a little bit more work. I think their defense is good. Don't get me wrong. It'll be a close game, but I think Cedar Grove gets the edge on physicality in that matchup.
Okay. We'll talk offline because I'm not gonna put the business out there of Coach Collier.
But
I'm gonna give you some information that I know you're not aware of.
Okay, was I close in my assessment?
I'm gonna put it like this. Okay. I will say this publicly. The players and the community wanted Coach Collier, Coach Bama to get the head coaching job.
Yep, I agree.
There is a reason why he did not take it.
Okay. Well,
take the job.
Beside that, do you think my assessment of the team and the O line or the trenches being the key is that?
Yes, I agree with you on the trenches. The trenches is the key. I don't care about on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, publicly, I don't care about all that. Now, privately, I'd love to hear it, but publicly, I don't really care about all that. Why he didn't get hired. What happened, right? It's done. So, working off of that, what can we do next, or what are the next steps?
Okay, publicly, let me just say this real quick, bro. Publicly, I got Douglas beat Steve Grove this year.
This is what I expect from y'all because I already told y'all what my prediction was: 6-4, losing all 4 non-region games and running through the region, 6-4, and going to and getting put out in the quarterfinals. I'm sticking with that. Okay. I'm not changing my mind on that.
It's not a bad prediction, to be honest.
Because again, the conversation we had, people are not realizing we're not having to play private schools in the playoffs.
No more
this year. Yeah, we don't have to deal with it. We're playing all public schools, and when you look at 3A again, there are 10 to 12 blue collar teams in 3A. Public school wise.
Yep.
So
and when you get down to that 11 and 12, rack and stack who you want to put in the 11 and 12 spot.
Okay.
All that true, bro. I don't take nothing away from what you're saying. I ain't talking about the playoff. I'm talking about your read. I got Stevenson and Douglas beating you, bro.
I don't see Douglas beating us. I really don't. If anybody that has a chance, I give that chance to Stevenson.
Yeah, me
because what Drew said about Stevenson, yes, 2 physical teams going at it. Who's going to be the most physical and dominate the other is what it comes down to, i.e., the trenches.
And I think Stevenson has the edge in that, and I think that's what. Sure, it's a toss-up either way. It still is a toss-up, but I think because of that, if I had to pick a factor that would lead to Stevenson winning, it's that. I think the key surrounding Cedar Grove is that physicality in the trenches. So naturally, the team that's going to have that is more physical will have a better chance at winning. So I picked Stevenson for that, which is why I also picked Cedar Grove to beat Douglas. So it goes both ways.
Hold on. Who? I want to know is one thing. You know that saying they say, "Who in the hell left the gate open?" I want to know who in the hell told y'all Cedar Grove was gonna build a physical team this year.
I showed it wish you would have came to Gresham Park on Monday or Wade Walker Park today.
Okay.
But again, though, the only thing for me that sets between Stevenson and Cedar Grove apart are the non-region schedules. I'm sorry. Those are two things that sets them apart. Because when you look at Stevenson's schedule, you're playing Mays, Arabian Mountain, Dutchtown, and Decatur, compared to who Cedar Grove is playing. Cedar Grove has three tough non-region games. That's going to prepare them for the classic or for 3A again, for 3A play, just like it did last year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on that.
I mean, you got Cedar Grove playing Collin Hill, the team out of Texas, and not the Florida team, because the Florida team canceled on us. I forgot the third team. I forgot the other team we playing. No, Monarch canceled on us. Monarch canceled.
Is it Mitchell? Is it Mitchell or something?
You got Douglas County.
Douglas County.
Oh, Douglas County. Yeah, because we opened up against Douglas County and the Corky Care. That's it. Douglas County. We got Douglas County, Collins Hill, and the team out of Texas.
Heath.
So again, are y'all gonna play 9 games, or y'all trying to find one?
Trying to find one, but more than likely we're gonna end up playing 9 though.
Hey, you know who should play? You know who could use a test? You know, Creekside. They should cancel their game versus DeSoto and schedule Cedar Grove instead.
Nah, it's kind of because the Monarch game is too early. It's early in the season, and unless somebody because Florida schools are canceling left and right. Yeah, so if somebody playing a Florida school early in the season, along with us that cancels on them, yeah, make the phone call. Make the phone call.
It'll happen. I mean, there's going to be openings. I promise you, somebody's going to cancel.
Yeah, make the phone call.
It is.
That's all I'm saying. Make the phone call. All Cedar Grove wanted some money off it. All Cedar Grove will travel. Just give them money off the gate.
All right, spokesperson.
I'm just saying. Why you think we went down to Colquitt County 3 years in a row?
Yeah, I don't think anybody willingly wants to do that, unless you get something out of it.
Yeah.
But I like the move. I like that decision to go down to Colquitt and play them. I actually like that. That's a game that's tough, but I like it.
Yeah. I think it prepared them and it showed them what they were.
Yeah, it did prepare them.
I mean, because at the time we had the personnel to compete with them.
Exactly. And that's what Creekside doesn't have, you know.
Eddie has a question. Thirsty, he wants to know how many yards and touchdowns will King throw for this year.
We'll revisit this question at the end of the year. All I'm saying is, I will. Hold on. Let me shake my hand and kiss my baby. King will be a top 3 quarterback in DeKalb County, though.
And who? Oh, in DeKalb. Okay.
Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Top 3 quarterbacks in DeKalb County.
Who can compete in DeKalb County? Like, what other schools are in DeKalb? My counties suck.
Oh, what schools?
Yeah.
Cedar Grove, Stevenson. I'm trying to think anybody else that's gonna make some noise out of DeKalb County this year. You know, you had Tucker last year with the with old boy that used to quarterback at Cedar Grove. You know what? Actually,
Tucker had the big guy, right?
Yeah. He used to be at Cedar Grove.
I remember.
I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, Columbia may do something.
No.
I doubt it though, but Decatur, I don't know.
Decatur is actually going to be an interesting team to watch. I'd keep an eye out for them.
Yeah.
Because they have a ton of returning production, which is good. I think Decatur could be a decent team. I think they could beat a Greater Atlanta Christian team they've lost to 2 years in a row now. I think they could actually beat them.
Hey,
but you know what, though?
Watch this one. You forgot one.
No, I didn't. I was just about to say it. And then you got our sister's favorite team, Arabia Mountain.
That is not my favorite
Oh,
team, Drew. That is not my favorite team, Drew.
Arabia Mountain.
Let me explain something, Drew. One day, I have my line sister, my sorority sister. She teaches at Arabian Mountain, and I just noticed last year I saw because I know that they were a terrible team, right? And so
They
then
were.
I was looking. Well, yeah. So they're a terrible team. Okay. So then last year I looked and saw that they were 6-0, and it shocked me. So I was like,
Yeah.
what's going on with the Arabian Mountain? And that's all I said, Drew. And so
Mhm.
now they swear I am the biggest Arabian Mountain fan, which is untrue.
No,
So,
I've yet to meet an Arabian Mountain fan, but they went. Look, they had a good year, 9-2.
I mean, they were not, yeah, 9-2, 9-1 in the regular season.
That's actually pretty dang good. I still remember
Yeah.
talking about it. The only thing people are gonna remember though is the loss to Jenkins.
yeah.
But I do want to say this on the Cobb County schools. There are two schools in the Cobb counties that are looking promising with their coaching
Oh,
staff. One is
Southwest DeKalb.
Southwest
Southwest
Cap
DeKalb
is
has that
one.
receiver, Sam Turner. He decommitted
Yeah.
from Tech and flipped to Auburn, which I'm fine with because I didn't think he was insanely good. But
Him, and then y'all gonna laugh, but laugh now, cry later. Shambly.
wait, I need to
And
see
this is
that.
what no, trust me, Shambly is the dirt mat is one of the dirt mats of the Cobb County.
Well,
This is the thing. This is the thing that is surprising me about Shambly is their coaching staff. They have they just hired cat dang man, we just talked about it the other day. I can't think of his name. Running back that huh?
a new head coach.
No. On the staff. The head coach hired the head coach has two NFL players on the staff. He just hired Jamal Lewis on the staff.
Ooh, I like that.
All right, and then in addition to Jamal Lewis, he has another guy another NFL star from Valdosta on the staff. He was a quarterback down there. He was
Surround
a quarter.
yourself with good coaches.
Yeah. The guy won a national title at Valdosta State, and then ended up playing for for Florida State.
Oh, Fabian Walker.
Fabian Walker started
Yeah,
at Florida
yeah.
State and then went to
Yeah.
Valdosta State
Wait,
Yeah.
Fabian Walker.
Fabian Walker is on that coaching staff also.
out of Americus, Georgia.
Fabian,
Yeah, he's
hold on.
American.
Who was the Chambly quarterback named Fabian? Was that also Fabian Walker?
That was
No.
his son, I think, right?
Yeah,
had to
I
be
think
his
it
son.
was.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. I didn't know that.
So my
Well,
thing is
that makes sense.
those names, and then like I say, the coach, and then like I say, you got Quincy Carter over at Southwest DeKalb as quarterbacks coach right now,
Yeah.
and this is his second year going into coaching. But yeah, those two schools, those names that's on that staff alone is going to draw players too. Yeah,
That's good. I mean, I like to hear that. I think Chambly would be a fun team to get good, right? Like nobody's gonna hate on Chambly.
I would.
now, well, okay, just so you understand, Shamley in the Cobb County has always been a joke
Yeah, no,
for
I
the
know.
most part. Because when
I
you
saw
look,
them. Terrible.
yeah, you know,
And then they
very
have
few,
Fabian Walker.
yeah, very few winning seasons. But yeah, but Shamley, they're trying to do something over there.
It's okay. I mean, I like it. I like teams that actually take steps towards doing it instead of just sitting there like, "Oh man, we suck." Well, take some steps to do like Osborne did a great job. Like if you look at Osborne, they hired they went from being horrendously bad to hiring Luckman Salam, and he turned their program around. So instead of what they did instead of just dropping back to the level, they said let's keep up that standard, and they hired Derek Cook, who used to be the Kell head coach, and he was good at Kell. Like I'm talking 4 region championships, 12, 13, 11, like those are his wins per year. He went to the semifinals his final year at Kell. That's a good hire. Like Osborne is serious. Like they're actually trying.
Yeah.
Like Cedar Grove, they sucked, and then they did what they had to do.
Yeah, they just
Really?
I mean, what?
Really?
I'm just
Really?
saying. No, I'm giving an example. He turned it around.
Yeah, I'm sure
It's
through
all
completely normal methods that includes talent development and no form of getting players from anywhere
You know
outside.
Yeah, you know what? I can't with y'all tonight. I'm not doing this with y'all tonight. I'm not.
No,
Drew is on here. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to let Drew have,
I'm
you
joking.
know, have a
I'm
shine.
joking. I'm
we
joking.
certainly thank you, Drew. We appreciate you so much.
I'm joking.
We do, Drew. But
And go ahead.
nah, I was just gonna say it is about that time because I do want to talk with you after. Once we go off, Drew, please do not leave because we are getting ready to shut this down. But
Okay.
please do not leave. I do want to talk to you and give you some information.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I
And
always like to have info.
we thank you so much, and we know this is not your last time visiting us this season. I want to say thank you, and I want to wish you the best at Georgia Tech this semester, and that you make all A's. You're not stressed out with any of your classes.
I'll be tall.
That and I actually like Georgia Tech, so I'm rooting for
Thank you,
y'all to
thank you.
do
We
well.
love to have some Georgia Tech fans. I love
Yeah,
it.
you know,
Great to see we're
I've
building here.
always appreciated Georgia Tech. I
Hey,
really,
Drew, I'm gonna just tell you, man, you can't take her, man. She talking about she like Florida State and Georgia, so you know.
sir,
Yeah.
I attended the University of Georgia, and you or nobody else can tell me
Look. You can
who I can
look.
support or
Everybody,
not.
every UGA fan wants to be nice to Tech until Tech wins one. That's all it is. And I'm telling you, within the next 3 years, it's gonna happen. So
It
watch out.
would.
In
It
basketball,
would.
in basketball,
In football, y'all didn't watch the game this year, did you?
Yeah, I
Y'all.
did.
hey, you talking
31,
about Georgia, not
31,
Miami now.
31-23 final score. We rushed for 220 yards on Georgia's front seven. Watch.
Okay.
We
It
did. We
was.
just did, by the way. No
And here's
turnovers.
the thing.
Georgia fumbled
I've
on the
been
first snap of the game.
talking about Tech. Tech has been doing something amazing. You know, they've been going after all of these 3-star, 4-star kids that Georgia's not offering and landing them.
It's good. Like
And
Eric Singleton was a great pickup.
oh yeah, out of Grayson.
No. He went to Douglas County and Alexander.
Okay, who was the? What?
Yeah, so our
Man,
receiver
you know how
Eric.
them kids left
Oh my
Alexander after
God!
that coach.
So we have a freshman All American this past year named Eric Singleton, true freshman All American, and Eric Singleton played his senior year at Alexander after transferring from Douglas County, and he's fast. He runs. He even competed in track in the off season for us.
No.
So,
You who is the guy you just got to sign from defensive
yeah,
end from
Andre Fuller.
From Grayson?
He's a good player.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Yeah,
he is.
you tap into some of these pipelines that I think it's good to reopen after our previous coach left a dump
Yeah, and not
relation.
to mention you got Dinkins out of Warner Robins.
Yeah, solid play. Like these are solid players, right?
Yep,
So,
yep.
you know, hey, you know what? That's fine. Look. Let the fans talk. Once they figure out how to drive a car properly, then they can come back to me.
You,
Well,
Hey, Drew,
Drew,
again.
3-4 years from now, we'll still be doing this show. We hope you still be a friend of the show. We'll have to revisit this at that time.
Yeah, of
by
course.
that
I got to
time,
stand up for
you
my
know,
team. So
we appreciate you. Tick says, go ahead and log off, Drew. Tech will not beat UGA this decade.
okay, wait and see.
So again, thank you so much, and thank you to our podcast listeners. We appreciate you. To all of you who have scrimmage games on Friday, we pray that it's a safe environment and that everybody is pleased with what they see. And y'all make sure y'all come back next Wednesday for our Wednesday night edition where we will talk about Division 2 and our private school top 10.
And on Wednesday, babe, somebody will be making a special entrance.
Will they now?
Yes, they will.
Okay, I'm
Yes, they
excited.
will.
I'm excited.
Yeah, he's coming
Yeah,
back to join us for the season, so we'll get to chop
yeah,
it up
we
with
have.
him.
Yeah,
And
we have been missing somebody throughout the summer.
he might be bringing somebody with him. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So again, thank you, Podcast Land. Without you, we couldn't do any of this. It wouldn't be worth it. And we thank you for engaging us. And we always thank y'all for being respectful as you can be. And
Hey,
again,
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt you one more time. I just have to make this. public service announcement for anybody that lives, frequent, lauder, anything you want to do around South Davis Drive. In the words of Deion Sanders, we coming.
Oh, there it
Them
is.
Trojans are coming. And we
You
ready
know
for
what?
this game Friday against the Warner Robins Demons.
Who?
You know
which
what?
Trojan?
I'm gonna leave it right there.
County.
I'm gonna leave it right there. We finna end the show.
Which Trojans?
Peach County
Okay,
Trojans.
okay, Peach County. Just making sure. Just making
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming out. Be safe getting home. God bless.
Night, night.